Citi FM 97.3.
I come before my Lord and King, the one who gave his life for me. I'll raise your banner on his name unto the nations for the champion of the host above and captain of my destiny. In you alone I'll make my boast. You reign alone as Lord. And we sing that we have the praises of the Savior, our Savior. We call him Emmanuel. He's God with us. He redeemed us. Yes. That's why he's the champion. Host and the captain of the destiny. My destiny in you, Lord. I'll make my boast. You reign alone as Lord. He's the champion of and the captain of my destiny. Oh, my destiny. You alone. Make my boast. For your right.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show. The city's biggest conversation. The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
We glorify you, Lord. Champion, you're the champion, Lord. I'm a champion, I'm a champion. Great love, great Jesus, the champion. You're the captain of my destiny. Father, you alone, in you you reign, you reign alone.
Nathaniel Bassey featuring Joe Metto. 24 minutes past 6. This is the Citi Breakfast Show. It's Monday morning, 17th day of April 2023. Champion of the host above, the God of my destiny. In you alone I place my hope. Beautiful song, beautiful morning. 97.3 is the dial. He says, I come before my Lord and King, the one who gave his life for me. I'll raise the banner of his name until the nations call on him. The champion of the host above and captain of my destiny. In you alone I make my boast. You reign alone as Lord of all. Starting the show with Business Sense, brought to you by ADB. And then the newspaper review comes up. City Business News and Sports within the first hour of a great Monday morning. All right, now I had this somewhere and I thought about it and I liked it. You overestimate what you can do in the short run and underestimate what you can achieve with consistency in the long run. So we all overestimate what we can do in the short run. We make a resolution, we make a commitment, we see something great we want to emulate. And we think by making those changes, there will be instant success. So maybe you're doing something in the company, things are not going well, and then you discover that this is what you have to change. Well, it's great to implement change, but that change must be consistently applied to be effective. So a lot of us underestimate the power of consistency. So doing 30 minutes every day for 30 days is more important than doing 24 hours at once. So many people overestimate what they can do, maybe because the emotion and the intention is so great in the short run. We think we can change the world in a short time. But well, you're on every day. Why are you talking? You keep making noise on air. Nothing is changing. Well, most of the best things that change don't change overnight. They change after a long period. So have that perspective that long-term change can be more gradual than short-term immediate change. That's Business Sense, brought to you by ADB. Get in touch. Let's talk about a loan to help you finish up the quarter in style. Whether it's a rent, mortgage, school fees, hostel fees, or domestic needs, call us on 059-3844-898 or visit any of our branches and let's talk about ADB, Truly Agric, and more.
Meet Mr. Answer. He prefers to receive money from his friends and loved ones through the Agricultural Development Bank's remittance services, and his reason is simple.
Oh, for me, my brother lives overseas.
unlimited. Waking up to a new world of possibilities on the Citi Breakfast Show, using the power of electronic media to change the nation one mind at a time. Comes in the form of picking the right issues, playing the right music, having the right conversations, asking the right questions consistently. So I keep telling people, it will not change overnight. But if you spend 10 minutes reading something every day for 10 years, you'll be surprised how much you know. So the power of consistency over intensity any day. This is brought to us by Total Energies. A poorly maintained car engine can age faster. That's why we're offering you the Quartz engine oil with ART, which is age resistance technology. It's a breakthrough innovation ensuring optimal performance for your engine and improved protection against mechanical wear by up to 74%. Choose Quartz from Total Energies. Choose the engine oil that keeps your engine running efficiently and effectively. Do you know the difference between efficiency and effectiveness?
Explain.
I went to business school. That was the first thing they taught us.
Efficiency.
Yeah, that was a grid. They say efficiency is not the same as effectiveness.
Okay.
Effectiveness is doing the right thing. Efficiency is doing things right.
Yeah.
It sounds the same, but it's not the same.
Yeah, of course.
Doing the right things.
So
and
you have
right.
to be effective before you are efficient.
I.e., you need to.
See, because if you
learn how to do the right thing.
you can be efficient at the wrong thing, and those things don't matter. So first, as they say, first, yes, you have to establish that you are doing the right thing. Then you have to do it well. So effectiveness is the what, and efficiency is the how.
Oh, I see.
That's one of the things I learned. I don't remember anything else, but that one I know. Yes, so you have to do the right thing first.
So that's being effective.
So that is the what.
Yes.
And then you have to do it right.
Right.
That is the how.
The how.
So that is being efficient.
But some people are very good at doing the wrong thing. They wake up in the morning, doing kukulu. Unnecessary things in choir, and they do it very well. That's the problem. They are very efficient at ineffectiveness. Yeah. So if you are effective, even if you are not efficient, it's better.
It's better. Oh,
You're doing the right thing and doing it small.
Yeah, it'll be okay. Yeah,
please, I'll write it in your notebook.
I'll do that.
MBA.
No, I'll use it as my screensaver.
2009. That's the whole story.
What's the other thing? You make a lot of references to your MBA. The one that has stayed with me is the marketplace is the altar.
Hey,
that is where you go and confess.
Your sins. You don't sit in your. This is true for newsroom. Everything. You can't sit in your office and think you're okay. You have to go there. Go as Nigerians. So go there. You have to go there. Anyway, my name is Bernard. I'm here with Richard Sky and Nathan Kwa. It's good to have you. Hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, it was alright. It was alright.
Cool. Looking forward to the
week.
Yeah.
So what are the papers saying, bro?
Yeah, but congratulations on your new,
on my what?
Aloski.
On my new I've been wanting to church a lot.
No. Today you decided to unleash it on the TV and the radio.
Like when you have a new thing, you take it to church. First.
Aloski.
Just focus on why. Now you have been in it. You are being efficient at the wrong thing.
Okay.
Focus.
Well, the Daily Graphic says this morning, military bus explosive producers. And they have seized 20,000 pieces of explosives, according to Duchik Kobla Aklobotu. Also on the front page this morning, telcos remove unregistered SIM cards from database today. Chamber hints of mass disconnections. And then also manage diabetes as epidemic, according to an expert.
All right, the Ghanaian Times says, efforts towards IMF support. Ghana completes prior actions, earns global applause for economic recovery program. And there's a picture of Ken Oforiatta on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Other stories, use research to address country's development challenges. That's according to Dr. Educhum. And police brief families on investigations into death of riot victim, robbery suspect at Nkranza. Okay, and the finance minister is saying government's not doing another round of DDEP. And on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, they've got a spluttering of Bet Power Ghana Premier League stories. Yes.
Okay, let me take you to the Herald newspaper. The lead story says, comfortable Akufo-Addo tricks colleague pensioners. As Finance Ministry fondles with their money again, despite promising not to do the same. Also, Aker Energy submits development plan to Energy Minister after collapse of some $1.6 million, actually billion-dollar deal with GMPC. And then there's a story here that says stolen cars indicate hacking GRA system at Temaport. This is according to a documentary I saw on Geography. That's right.
Anyway, the Chronicle says Ganasco Headmaster interdicted over toilet turned into dormitory viral video. Charlie. And there's a picture of Dr. Eric Nkansa, who's the GES Director General here. To some politics and Kumewu MPP aspirant indicted by U.S. court after divorce suit filed by ex-wife. And Safari Tissue wins fastest growing tissue brand of the year. And the scripture of the morning, Luke 8:17, for nothing is hidden that will not become evident, for it nor anything secret that will not be known and come to light.
Let me take you to the Republic Press. The big story says Che Mensa Bonsu mocks NDC MPs and calls them zombies. Also, pensioners strike again, and Mahama weeps over incompetent TAG.
Okay, the New Crusading Guide says trade fair bouncing back as redevelopment project kickstart with private participation. And there's a feature written by Prophet Peter Anamo who says the identity of the black man. And John Kuma says Baumia is MPP's voice of hope.
The Anchor says this morning, McDan and wife at it again as anger boils over reserve zone land at East Legon. Housing Ministry, others petitioned. Also, government consoles Golden Star Resources. Minister assures corporates will be punished. And then why should Yoke Gari now be called Gobe? Ayikwe O2 fumes.
I agree with him.
The Ghanaian publisher says...
What is Gobe?
What is that?
Says 312 housing units for police ready. FDA approves new malaria vaccine. And Baumia, MPP's hope for 2024. That's according to Dr. John Kuma.
The new publisher says this morning, it's a female Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokonu, tipped. Also, we're told senior high school boys forced to sleep in toilets. GES suspends headmaster. And some other stories on the front page, including this one that says CSA, Chamber of Telecommunications, collaborate on cyber security.
The Ghanaian Observer says Baumia markets Ghana's digitization revolution at Harvard. Government to meet bondholders committee over outstanding payment. Ghana's teacher reforms a model for many African countries. And Gold Mafia ignored the spurious allegations. Akufo-Addo's lawyer says the president hasn't been in private practice since the year 2000. And global community commends Ghana.
And the BNFT finally from me says this morning, CSOs back increase taxes. Say this will safeguard National Health Insurance Scheme and also save government millions. Also on the front page this morning, $3 million reconstructed Nkrumah Mausoleum opens in June. And then something here that says DBG secures $70 million for credit guarantee scheme.
All right.
And stock exchange sees limited movement in first quarter.
Okay, the Inquisitor says East Legon reserved land rezoning. Housing Ministry petition. Magdan says he owns land legally. In the Kumewu by-election, windfall for Kumewu MPP delegates as 8th file to contest. And pensioner bondholders threatening to resume picketing if government fails to pay outstanding coupons.
All right. Let's take you online, citynewsroom.com. Government must scrutinize admission capacity data of SHS. This is in relation to the students sleeping in toilets. Also, make TOR functional to reduce excess fuel hikes. This is COPEC to government. And then Ghana's president is a good friend, suspected money launderer in Al Jazeera documentary. President's lawyer denies any association. Meanwhile, Manibu Ahmad jabs Akufo-Addo over no elevator use at Health Ministry. It was a circular that was put out a couple of days ago. Meanwhile, as you read, the Ganasco head has been asked to step aside as GEF probes video of students sleeping in toilet cubicles. Very bizarre story. Meanwhile, NC is also directing telcos to delink disconnected SIMs from registration databases. All of these stories on citynewsroom.com. My Joy Online, couple of stories for you. Joy News investigations reveal PBC risk possible collapse following steep decline in market share. Also, IMF Africa Board says financing assurance from external creditors only precondition left for Ghana's program to be approved. And then we'll comply with NCA's directive regarding SIM registration to the telco chamber. And then we must comply according to, yes, that's Ken Ashigbe. Now, let me take you outside Ghana. Violence rocks Sudanese capital as diplomats push for ceasefire. So we are told that there are issues in Sudan. This is Sudan, not South Sudan. A couple of African newspapers responding to that particular story on their website. So let's get into the details and then we'll come to
let me take off with this story that's disturbing everyone. The story about students sleeping in what's supposed to be toilet cubicles. I don't know whether they are functional toilets but the story is in the Anchor newspaper this morning. It starts on the front page as in the headlines, but the details on page 4. Kwame Asiedu Sapong, writing for the Anchor, says this morning that the Ghana Education Service, in what is considered to be a face-saving move, has directed the headmaster and the senior housemaster of the Ghana National Senior High School, Ganasco, in Tamale, in the northern region, to step aside for investigations into why a toilet space has been turned into dormitories for students. Now, this was after a widely circulated video showed students using toilet cubicles as dormitories, a revelation that appears to have embarrassed the authorities in charge of the country's educational sector. Now, according to the GES, the news of a toilet space being turned into a dormitory for students is disturbing and unfortunate, taking into consideration the fact that out of 1,790 vacancies declared by the school, only 1,467 students have enrolled. Now, the GES, in a statement which has basically been dated 16th of April 2023, said the school is expected to have excess capacity to even house extra 300 students.
Well, so far, African Education Watch is asking the government to scrutinize admission capacity data of SHSs to prevent this kind of thing. Now, GS, we know, has directed the head teacher of the school to step aside to allow for investigations. Reacting to the development, Executive Director of African Education Watch, Kofi Asare, said data available to the Ministry of Education may have some inconsistencies. And then he talks about how the placement of schools may have overpopulated some schools, for which reason this situation may have arisen. We'll keep an eye on that story for you. Then the other story is in the Ghanaian Times.
Yes, the finance minister is speaking, and he says government not doing another round of DDEP. The story is written by Kingsley Asari, and he reads, there are no plans by the government to conduct another round of domestic debt exchange program targeted at pension funds, according to the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Speaking during a virtual engagement with the country's external creditors on the macroeconomic update on the economy on Thursday from Washington, D.C., he assured that government had not planned to carry out any second round of the DDEP program on pension funds. His assurance was in reaction to media reports that the finance ministry had assured Eurobond investors of another round of the DDEP. So Ofori-Atta said his statement was taken out of context when he provided an explanation to the external creditors, saying it was, quote, a misunderstanding, end quote. And he continues to say, quote, we are not planning a second round of the DDEP with pension funds. I think it was a misunderstanding.
Still on the economy?
Yes, the Herald has a story that is talking about Comfortable Akufo-Addo tricking colleague pensioners. And the story on page 3 of the newspaper says that the Pensioner Bondholders Forum has threatened to resume its picketing at the premises of the Ministry of Finance if the government fails to pay all outstanding coupons and principals of bond investment by April 28, 2023. Now, this follows demand by Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, that the Board of Trustees of pensions funds should allow for pension funds to be included in government's new proposed debt restructuring offer, a complete shift from his earlier promise to Ghanaians before Parliament in February this year that the pensioners' funds will not be touched. Now, the promise had gotten former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo and other pensioners who were picketing at the Ministry of Finance to actually speak up. However, the minister's current posturing shows he only bought some time from the pensioners, or perhaps lied to Ghanaians, including the members of our parliament.
Well,
and he goes on to
the
provide
pensioners
further
are
details.
claiming they will pick it if they don't get
Their money is
clarity
paid.
on their payment. That story is on citynewsroom.com, and the gentleman who led the team has been speaking to the media. He actually sent out a press release saying that they want assurances that the monies will be paid. Now, I want to move still on the economy to the IMF, where the Africa director of IMF is saying that Ghana's bailout has been approved pending external financing assurances. So, Abebe Embro Selassie, IMF director for Africa department, has said that Ghana has fulfilled all the prerequisites for its program request to be approved by the executive board, except for the assurance of financing from external creditors. He mentioned that once Ghana secures the financing assurances, the staff will quickly present the program request to the executive board for approval. We are now comfortable that all of the measures required for us to present the program to our executive board are complete, except for the required financing assurances from Ghana's external creditors. Selassie Abebe made this disclosure during the launch of the Regional Outlook Report for Africa in Washington, D.C., where he urged Ghana's creditors to hasten the negotiations by providing the necessary financing resources.
Oh, wow.
Abebe Selassie.
Abebe Selassie.
Yeah, he's a big man.
Hail Selassie.
He's from Ethiopia. Abebe.
Abebe.
Also known as Abebe. Yeah, he's the main character.
AKA Abebreze.
No. All right, so that's on the economy. Moving into other stories.
Yes, there's a story. The Chief Justice of the Republic is retiring soon, and there's talk of a replacement. And the new publisher has details of that story. It's a female Chief Justice, and the details of the story on page 3. And it says, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokonu, Justice at the Supreme Court, is most likely to be appointed as the 15th Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana after the retirement of the current Chief Justice, His Lordship Justice Eninyebua, in May this year, which is actually next month. Now, on the retirement of Justice Eninyebua, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is required by Article 144 Clause 1 of the Constitution to, in consultation of the Council of State and with the approval of Parliament, appoint a Chief Justice who shall be the highest ranking judge of the Supreme Court and also the head of the judiciary and be responsible for the administration and supervision.
So, has this been confirmed or is still the insider sources and speculations?
What we hear is that the necessary consultations have been done or are being done, and that some letters have been dispatched to the appropriate institutions on this particular matter. But again, we have to wait and see what the final outcome will be.
Because we've heard some before. I was sitting here and there was a story that said that, was it Justice Dutti was going to be Chief Justice? I think it was strongly speculated. In the last minute, that didn't turn.
No, my understanding, that turned at the level of the MPP's national...
We are just saying that, just like the way they are saying the thing has been decided.
Well, I mean...
The decision can be made. But
that's what I said. I mean,
there's no rush. So let's take our time.
Okay, talking about lawyers and all of those things, Mr. Koisuman, he's legal counsel to the president, and he says the public should disregard the claims made by a gold trader exposed in Al Jazeera's Gold Mafia investigative documentary that the president was his friend and lawyer. According to Koisuman, now this story is in the Ghanaian Observer, for those who are wondering. According to Mr. Koisuman, President Akufo-Addo does not know the gold dealer and his cohorts. In a tweet shared on Sunday, April 16, Mr. Suman stated that the president had not been in private practice since the year 2000. He insisted that President Akufo-Addo's law firm, Akufo-Addo, Prempeh and Co., had not also acted as lawyers for Alistair Matthias or Goldrest. And he says, quote, the president has not been in private practice since 2000. Neither has the president nor his law firm, Akufo-Addo, Prempeh and Co., acted as lawyer for this Alistair Matthias and Goldcrest.
So this story is part of a 4-part investigative documentary series which uncovered damning evidence of gold smuggling and money laundering syndicates in Zimbabwe, with Ghana also mentioned. Now, this Matthias guy had claimed that he had executed similar schemes in Ghana and that he was a good friend with the president, with whom he said used to be his lawyer. Matthias, who was once the biggest smuggler in Ghana, revealed his modus operandi to the undercover journalist. Now, he then said a lot of things. So there's a sort of a reveal of the different details of the 4-part series, and he makes certain claims which Koisuman debunks.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't know why we take some of these things very serious. If somebody goes to just shout and say something, and then people take it like the gospel. I mean, some of these things should be vetted. Before you go embarrassing people.
Yeah, you say you got a contract for 100 million. Anyway, but this one is true. The graphic front page, explosive syndicate has been busted by the army.
Yeah.
It involves some people.
Charlie.
They were doing it in Takwa.
Can you imagine? You know that not far away there was an explosion that caused a havoc. And Doche Kobla Aklobotu, reporting from Secunde, says this morning on the front page of the graphic that the Ghana Armed Forces have busted a syndicate. I don't know why they write have busted a syndicate.
It's a typo.
Of 13 foreigners allegedly engaged in the manufacture of explosives in Takwa in the western region. Now, over 20,000 pieces of illegal explosives were seized from the suspects, made up of 8 Chinese, 3 Togolese. Oh, Togolese people are here. An Ivorian and a Nigerian. Now, the explosives which were seized on the premises of Mohammed Brothers Company Limited and Dakete Mines in Takwa included about 10,000 kg of ammonium nitrate and about 20,000 explosive charges in the form of dynamite, which had been prepared from ammonium nitrate. Now, there's a quote here that says that most of the ammonium nitrate was concealed in flour and rice sacks, Bernard. The Ghana Armed Forces said in a statement yesterday.
All right.
Now, it goes on to provide further details.
Now, Nathan, let me come back to you, Kumewu MPP stories.
Yes. This is on page 3 of the Chronicle. So, Dr. Philip Bano, he is the registrar of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA. Now, he's said to be one of the people contesting the seat that is vacant now. But the Herald has chanced on some court documents from the US that have indicted this gentleman. Now, the Herald is saying that this... he's saying that a US court has indicted him and accused him of absconding to Ghana with a total of $837,000 in liabilities. Now, the Judicial Court for Hamilton County in the state of Tennessee has entered judgment in favor of Dora Bano in a 5-year-old divorce proceeding against Dr. Philip Bano. Now, it goes on to list. So there's the divorce case. There are these liabilities and other things. So the liabilities are in relation to debt he owes some financial institutions in the US.
All right.
And in terms of the divorce and marital assets, this is the part that I find interesting. The court found that over $300,000 of the marital assets had been invested in men's gold.
Who is this guy?
So he's one of the people who's filing to contest.
It's not the Herald you're reading, it's a Chronicle.
Sorry, the Chronicle, sorry. Okay.
So why are they focusing on just him?
Well, it looks like...
Why are they trying to damage him?
I don't know. So it looks
Why
like...
are they doing that? I'm sure everybody has skeletons. Anyway. But the other one was there's a footballer called Hakimi. Is that story true?
I've been... some people are saying are not true.
He has registered all his property in his mother's name. So when the divorce thing was filed, there was nothing. Some very interesting story. We'll discuss it on a question of law, maybe when it starts on TV. Now, I wanted to give you a couple of quick questions. So there's a story on my Joy Online. Joy News investigations have revealed that the country's biggest indigenous cocoa buying company, PVC, risks possible collapse following its steep decline in market share from 30% to 8% over the past 5 years. In January last year, the management of the company hinted at downsizing its staff because it was unable to meet financial obligations. In August last year, management issued a memo that it was unable to pay salaries to staff, and now a tale of huge debt, falling revenue, tons of cocoa being stuck in farms, and produce clerks engaged in double trading to survive is what is unfolding. And the story is now saying that this company risks collapse if the trend continues. Okay. Now, there's another story I wanted to give you quickly. Fuel prices to go up this morning. Yeah, I don't know why we don't have it here, but the reaction to that story is what we have here. Where COPEC is saying, so COPEC essentially gave us the latest numbers, and then he's saying that to prevent this from happening, we must operationalize store. Now, last 2 weeks, we were told that fuel prices had come down because of gold for oil.
What has happened to that?
We don't know. Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers says a major option for government to alleviate the continuous price hikes in fuel is to make TOR functional. TOR shut down operations several years ago due to lack of crude, which serves as a raw material for the refinery. And then we are told that there is going to be an upward adjustment in fuel prices at the pumps this pricing window. So April 15, we are told that initially the MPA had said that it was going to increase the fuel marking margin from 4% to 9%. But then NPA, in a statement signed by Hassan Tasunti, reversed that. Be that as it may, fuel prices will go up this week based on all the reports we know.
The last time I actually saw Tor do something really, really meaningful was when former President Kufuor launched the residual catalytic cracker.
Yeah.
You know, it was a huge investment they had made to transform Tor.
Yeah, man.
And shortly after that, things just took...
Now, Nathan, before you do the Gobe story, there's a problem in Sudan. So there's almost 100... So this is BBC reporting that almost 100 civilians reported dead in Sudan fighting. They're receiving gunshot head on air, joined a news bulletin. And the story...
Jet fighters flying over.
Yeah, the story says that there are clashes between the military and paramilitary rapid support force, right? And the various reports are saying that almost 100 civilians have died, according to the country's doctors' union. More violence has been reported in the capital, where residents reportedly sustaining gunfire in the capital, Khartoum. And the Sudanese army and rival RSF militias have observed a brief humanitarian pause in the fighting that erupted on Saturday. And basically, this is fighting for control of the two main cities, which is Khartoum and Port Sudan.
We beg them, make they stop that thing. And Bernard, before I leave, why should your Kegari now be called Gobe? Are you equal to fumes?
This
very completely unacceptable.
I don't understand.
It can't call, you know, something which you were calling Bobo and Gali. Yes, Gobe. What is that? You know what I first said? I said, oh, this is
according to them, is Gary, oil, beans.
Yes, can you imagine? What number are you going to? Yes.
The city's biggest conversation.
You know, you probably see that. And it's Ricky car. Hey.
Bernard, hello and welcome to the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Gwel and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. Coming up, Ghana Union of Traders Associations GUTA calls for measures to reduce speculation impact on Ghana's local currency. Also, after 3 consecutive drops, fuel prices increased marginally to about 13 cedis 20 pesos at the pumps. My name is Michael Obodu, and let's head straight into our stories now, as the Ghana Union of Traders Associations GUTA is urging authorities to take action to minimize the impact of speculation on the local currency. In the last quarter of 2022, the cedi reached a historic low of over 16 Ghana cedis to the dollar, which some analysts attribute to market panic caused by potential shortage of dollars. However, in recent months, the cedi has shown some stability with a trading rate of approximately 11 Ghana cedis to the dollar. Dr. Joseph Obeng, the president of GUTA, stressed the need to sustain this progress and bring the cedi back to a single-digit trading rate against the dollar.
At 45%, we shouldn't say that we've done any well, because we have to go back to the single digit that we were all trying to achieve. So it's very much high. And we are also saying that all stakeholders should be able to manage the speculation if you want to sustain these gains that we are having. Because most of the times, the speculation is so that it pushes the forests to go on the routes to affect the economy and then the businesses. So it's very important that we also be mindful of the speculation that we do.
Dr. Joseph Obing is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Associations. Now, on the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar is selling at 10 cedis 94 pesos. It recorded no price change. The British pound lost 5 pesos and is selling at 13 cedis 60 pesos. The euro gained 1 peso and is selling at 12 cedis 3 pesos. However, at some forex bureaus in the capital, the dollar is selling for 11 cedis 30 pesos, while the British pound is selling at 13 cedis 90 pesos, and the euro is going for 11 cedis 90 pesos. Now, economist and currency analyst at GCB Capital Limited, Courage Boti, has indicated that it will be prudent for the central bank to hold on with its hike in the monetary policy rate until inflation declines further to an appreciable level. A recent announcement by the World Bank had directed African central banks to continue to raise interest rates to help absorb price pressures and protect the incomes of their citizens from further deterioration. Speaking to Citi Business News, Mr. Boti urged government to equally tame its demand for finance on the trade market to restore resilience to the economy.
If the government would manage its appetite for funds on the market and sustain the decline in T-bill yields, inflation notwithstanding, we could begin to see lending rates drop a bit, because with the reference rate at 25 now, loans will be priced just around that. So you can even see loans under 30 now. And the lower the inflation rate, the T-bill rate comes, and then the lower inflation gets, the more repricing you will see on the market, really. So I think the problem can be solved in many ways, but the World Bank's advice or directive is actually in light of what is prudent for those external economies. It is not exactly applicable exactly the way it is in the US. So we have to find, if you like, the balance for ourselves. And I think that maintaining the rate at where it is now, to see inflation drop that sharply for the next maybe 2-3 months, will be an appropriate policy stance. Then from there, we can begin to ease marginally, maybe some 50, 100 basis points marginally until inflation returns to where it has to be.
That was economist and currency analyst at GCB Capital Limited, Courage Boti. Now, a financial lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bobkin, has stated that the possibility of Ghana getting the IMF board approval by the close of May 2023 is conditioned on the fact that there will be no surprises from the country's partners to derail the process. Already, the head of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, has expressed optimism that the fund's executive board would grant final approval to Ghana's bailout request soon. In an interview with Citi Business News, Professor Bobkin entreated the managers of the economy to avoid withholding key information to ensure a smooth process.
Whatever that has been designed in terms of the roadmap, you are only hoping that there will be no surprise from any of the parties, okay, that can derail the process, okay? And there has to be a lot of transparency and full disclosure of information and greater cooperation from all the partners, all the parties to that negotiation. So this is conditioned on the fact that there will be no surprises to derail the process. So to some extent, we have a role to play, but it's not entirely also within our control, right, and all of that. But at least we've seen that from the spring meeting, we've seen China softening their ground, some of their demands in terms of also asking multilateral institutions like the IMF and the World Bank and the African Development Bank to also take a haircut on their lending to African countries, or including Ghana, because the IMF that is advising Ghana to restructure its debt, the IMF and the World Bank are saying that their debt are not up for restructuring. Okay, multilateral debt is a little above $8 billion.
Professor Godfred Bobkin is a finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Now, fuel prices have seen a marginal increase at the pumps as a litre of petrol, which sold for 12 cedis 65 pesos, is now selling at 13 cedis 20 pesos, while diesel, which retailed at 12 cedis 84 pesos, is also selling at 13 cedis 20 pesos. The upward adjustment has been attributed to the increase in the price of petroleum products by about 16% on the international market. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, says a major option for government to alleviate the continuous price hikes of fuel is to make the Tema oil refinery functional. TOR has remained non-operational since 2018 over a number of challenges. The Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah, stressed the need to revamp the refinery to ensure fuel price stability in the country.
We are not exactly certain where we are going with our refinery. It's been one talk after the other, one promise after the other. The tall and short, however, is that the refinery continues to be grounded. No activity, nothing is working. In view of the fact that you have some new refineries coming on stream across the sub-region, one would have expected officials or authorities to be minded by the need to protect the technical workforce of our refinery by finding any means necessary to get her back to work. Unfortunately, it has not been the case.
Duncan Amoah is the Executive Secretary of COPEC. Effective today, all telecommunication operators will begin deleting unregistered SIM cards from their databases. This directive from the National Communications Authority requires telecom companies to remove all SIM cards that have not been re-registered with Ghana cards in compliance with the 31st March 2023 deadline. As a result, any SIM cards registered with the limit of 10 per individual will also be deactivated and removed from all databases. Telecom operators are expected to provide the NCA with a number of SIM cards disconnected. Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, has stated that his organization will cooperate with the NCA in its exercise. Let's now join Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank for the latest updates on the bonds market.
MTN Ghana and Enterprise Group were the only movers and laggards on the best last week, driving the market indices lower. The GSE Composite Index lost 2.74% week on week to 2,682.85 points, reducing the year-to-date return to 9.78%, while the Data Bank Stock Index shared 2.21% week on week to 105.2 points, with a year-to-date loss of 0.11%. Overall weekly turnover amounted to 4.4 million Ghana cedis from the sale of 3.7 million shares. We forecast gold, PLC, and Benzo oil palm plantation to rise this week based on strong demand for these stocks.
That was Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank. And that does it for the breakfast edition of City Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Goil and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obodu. Have a good business day. And as always, please stay safe.
If home is where the heart is.
Hope. For over a decade, we've been supporting investment goals of our customers with attractive solutions. We're a safe haven for depositors who value security as well as competitive returns. With easy access to track your funds, we offer flexible deposit products for 91 days, 182 days, and 365 days. Open a fixed deposit account with us today. Call 0577 707 Let's share whole, let's improve life. Kickoff is also brought to us by Shell Fuel Safe Super, Shell Fuel Safe Diesel, and V-Power. These are fuels designed to last longer. Triple action formula improves your engine efficiency, prevents deposit buildup, and protects your engine from wear and corrosion for extra clean, extra protection, and extra savings. So switch to Shell Fuel Safe today because extra kilometers go a long way. Kickoff time. Benjamin Ketia here with the news. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Bernard. Let's get into the headlines. And the Adriana Stars maintain top spot in the Ghana Premier League while Brekum Chelsea thrashed Asante Kotoko at the Golden City Park. In the EPL, Arsenal dropped valuable points against West Ham as Man City beat Leicester to close the gap on league leaders. In the NBA playoffs, there were wins for the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Denver Nuggets. Let's start off with the Ghana Premier League. Let's catch up with match week 26 results. Accra Hearts of Oak Day were in action. They beat in Swatraman by 2-1. Let's get to some reaction from the camp of Hearts of Oak and let's hear from assistant coach David Oklu speaking after the match.
We came in with a 4-4-3 system. In the first, 40 minutes, we dominated play. We played very well. We moved well. We created a lot of chances. During the latter part of the first half, they came into the game. They fought gallantly. Then the second half too, the latter part of the game, they came into the game, even though they were man down, but they came into the game. They played well, and kudos to them. But my boys did the needful.
So Accra Hearts of Oak assistant coach David Oklu speaking there. Let's get to the camp of Inswachaman and let's hear from their interim coach Mumuni Abubakar at the end of the game.
This is a trailer. This is what I would say from both sides. I will agree that the House of Oak team isn't a bad team. They played well, made good use of the chances that came their way. And we took it up to them, got one. Then, for what reason, the referee decided to whistle for a penalty. And for how many reasons he chose to look for a human VAR. I don't know. Since when Ghana have decided to go in for a VAR on the part of the fourth referee. Taking a look at proximity, the referee was very close to the scene than that of the fourth referee. I don't know where he got those eagle eyes from to see better than that of the referee. But I think the referee needs to go for a refresher course. The game was bigger than the referee, to be honest with you, with all intended purposes. Because somebody is investing into the team very well. And for you to thwart his effort this way, I think we need to set up in Ghana.
Interim Inswatraman FC head coach Mumuni Abubakar speaking. They're not happy at all with the results in that game. Let's get to another game that also played out. Brekum Chelsea, they thrashed Kumasi Asante Kotoko by 3-0 at the Golden City Park. Now, Kotoko's assistant coach Abdullah Ghazali expressed his disappointment at the loss.
It's a disappointing result from our side. We were here to pick 3 points. Unfortunately, it rather go against us. We didn't do well. The entire team, we didn't do well because the way we wanted to play, we couldn't get a chance to play that way because of the nature of the pitch. And I think our players, we have to go back to the drawing board and work hard in order to correct these particular mistakes. We have been considering goals through our defensive line. And I think there's need for us to correct it more because we have done a lot about it, but unfortunately, it's keep on repeating. So we need to go back to the drawing board and then work on that particular incident.
Asante Kotoko's assistant coach Abdullah Ghazali speaking there. Now, Adriana Stars, they have maintained their top spot in the Ghana Premier League. They beat Great Olympics by 1-0, 3 points in the bag. Adriana Stars head coach Pakwesi Fabian was dissatisfied with the performance of his team despite the win.
I thought our boys were too hesitant. They wanted to win at all costs, so they were rushing. I kept telling them they should just relax and play their normal game. But, the too anxious. So we lost so many chances, and we could have won more than by a goal, But 1-0, 3 points, we'll accept it.
If it was your goalkeeper who was pulling up world-class saves to keep your team in the game, what would you say about his performance?
Fantastic. He's been one of the best keepers in the league, and there's no doubt. Today he shows that he's one of the best.
Parkwesi Fabing is head coach of Indiana Stars, and the other results: Tamale City, they beat Bechem United by 3-2. King Faisal look like they have seen a resurgence, winning 2-1 against Dreams FC. Legon Cities also beat Kotoku Royals by 2-0. Mediama won 1-0 at home when they took on Karela FC. Real Tamale United, they also took Bibiani Gold Stars to the cleaners. 5-1 is how that game ended. And then Samatex beat Accra Lions by 1-0. So that's how things broke down in the Ghana Premier League match week 26. Let's get to the English Premier League. Let's catch up with results from the game round. West Ham United, they had too much firepower for Arsenal, came back from 2 goals down to steal a point. Now, Mikel Arteta was disappointed with his team losing their 2-goal lead.
Yeah, very disappointing because the way we started the game, it was superb again. You go 2-0 up and you have the game in total control. And there we have to blame ourselves because we lost that purpose to really attack them to thread that goal. Instead, we just to keep the ball for the sake of playing, and we give them hope and then credit to them. Obviously, we concede a terrible penalty away, the way we give the ball away. And after that, credit to them. They start to play the redirect. We could not control those situations, and you start to get in that roller coaster where everything is throwing and then corner and then corner and then throwing. And we didn't manage to get away from that. And when we did in the second, a little bit with the changes, it wasn't enough. And obviously, it's a crucial moment. At 2-1, you have the penalty. You put it 3-1, it's a different game. And 2 minutes later, you consider.
Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta speaking there. Now, Manchester City were at home when they took on Leicester. They won that game by 3-1. Pep Guardiola, head coach of Manchester City, described the win as tricky.
Oh, of course, we were worried. So we threw one, we now mistake, and mistake. And the second, we had the chance with Maddison, and after with Kelechi. So the game was tricky in the last 10-15 minutes. But if you make it the global game was especially the first 55-60 minutes was good.
But do you have to have these uncomfortable moments in some ways? Because as you said, you're competing in 3 competitions. You've got to look after the players.
I had to avoid it. I always have to push ourselves and better and avoid what happened after 3-0. We cannot always suffer. But it happens for a lot of situations. Normally, with my experience, when you do that, it's happened.
Pep Guardiola's Manchester City boss. Nottingham Forest, they lost by 2-0 when they took on Manchester United. Erik ten Hag is Man United boss. He has shared his thoughts on the game.
Solid performance, a well-deserved win. Only criticism I could say, it has to be higher, the score. It had to be 3 or 4-0. We missed a couple of chances.
Why is that important?
Always you want to score and you want to finish, kill the game in an early moment. And so that's always important. When you have chances, in big games you don't create so many chances, so you have to score them.
So you heard Man United head coach Erik ten Hag speaking there. Now Chelsea also lost by 2-1 at Stamford Bridge to Brighton and Hove Albion. Chelsea caretaker manager Frank Lampard says his side were simply not good enough.
Disappointing on every level. A better team won, could have won by more, and they played like a team. They're working together for a long time, and give that credit back to us. Not good enough from our point of view. All the basic parts of football, which are to fight, to run, and those things we were short on. And this is not questioning commitment as such, but the rules of football mean that things happen that get you to that point as a group. So we have to dig ourselves out of that very quickly. We've got a big game on Tuesday, so there's no point in being too down. But professionally, we have to understand why today went the way it did, and it wasn't good for us.
Frank Lampard's Chelsea caretaker manager Aston Villa, they beat Newcastle by 3-0. Everton lost at home by 3-1 to Fulham. Southampton also lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace, and then Wolves also beat Brentford by 2-0. Tottenham Hotspur, they lost right at the death to AFC Bournemouth by 3-2. There's a Monday night game today between Leeds United and Liverpool. To some other news, an Italian striker Ciro Immobile is presently receiving treatment for injuries to his back and ribs at a hospital in Rome. Now, this follows an unfortunate incident where his car collided with a tram, as evidenced by photographs depicting police presence at the scene. Now, despite scoring a goal for Lazio in their recent 3-0 triumph against Spezia in the Serie A, the 33-year-old sustained a sprained trauma of the spine as well as a compound fracture of his right rib. However, his club has provided reassurance that his condition is currently stable. Let's finish off with some basketball, and the NBA playoffs have tipped off. The Los Angeles Lakers, they were in action last night against the Memphis Grizzlies. 128-112 is how the Lakers won that one on the road. So the Lakers lead that series 1-0. Now, the Miami Heat also took the lead on the road against the Milwaukee Bucks, 130-117. Giannis Antetokounmpo leaving that game with an injury and not returning. Now, Russell Westbrook and the Los Angeles Clippers were also on the road when they took on Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and the Suns. 115-110 is how it ended for the Clippers. So the Clippers taking a big 1-0 lead on the road in that one. And then the Denver Nuggets were too good when they took on the Timberwolves, 109-80. Is how that one also broke down. So the playoffs in full swing. Will bring you all the updates right here. But that's all for this morning's edition of Kickoff. My name is Benjamin Nketia, the Small Sport at citysportsonline.com.
Extra, extra. Let me tell you all about it.
Hey, Dolomistic. You and this your extra thing. I beg, tell me about it.
Abenquine, look, extra is what you and your car get when you switch to Shell Fuel Save. Extra protection, extra clean, and extra savings. You get it?
Tell me extra.
Shell Fuel Save is designed to improve engine efficiency instantly, and with triple action formula that helps protect your engine from wear, corrosion, and deposits, so you get extra kilometers out of your drive.
Enter the thing, enter the thing.
But for open, according to the rule, but for mama.
Yes, so if you just say but for mama, I wouldn't have been Mr. Fuiko Jovia.
Yes, I wouldn't be working at Bui today.
Yes, if we working at Bui.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's 100 words or fewer to be part of the Portrait for Mama dinner that will be held on Mother's Day this May. Also, belated birthday blessing to Mrs. Ruby Nanajwa Pentel Bukari of Ohio State University, USA. April 15 was your special birthday. May God grant you all your heart desires. Happy birthday to Judah Tumi Apatu Planche. You are 3 years old today. God has been faithful. From the 2020 COVID. You were a testimony from COVID.
Brothers do inside no lockdown, no.
No, he was born in 2020.
Yes,
so this was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
So this was when it was lockdown. Think about this. So like April 17.
Yeah, I don't cancel.
April 17, 2020.
Yeah.
The whole world was in lockdown.
Yeah.
And yet the boy was born.
Yeah.
So Judah to me, happy birthday coming in from your dad, Ni Apatu Planche.
Ni Apatu Planche.
Yes.
Lawyer Papa.
A couple more. Happy 70th birthday to Mr. David Kwame Youngbe. Your later days will be full of blessings. You will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Experience sound health the rest of your days from your children. And also to Marian Boating from your husband Joseph and the boys. We wish you all the best in life. May the good Lord continue to direct your path and grant you all your heart desires. From Joseph Boating to his wife Marian. All right, I think you have another one as well.
Yes, this one is coming in from my uncle, Bright Jaka. And he says I should celebrate Inspector Bernard Dogbe of Tema Regional MTTD. He's more than an officer in uniform, dutifully determined and hardworking. May the Lord protect him on the road as he carries out his duty as a dispatch rider. This is a happy birthday message going out to him. And let me say this one too, to a good friend of mine who is celebrating his birthday today, Dr. Carl Odami Genti. He is in Kenya and dutifully listens to us. Today is his birthday. We celebrate him. May you continue to do all the great things that you are doing for and on behalf of the Republic in faraway Kenya, Nairobi.
Also wishing my sister Ifia Poku Isi of KPMG a happy birthday. I wish her all the goodness in life. Couldn't have asked for another sister. So proud of you and your brilliance. This is from Kofi AEC. Happy birthday to my friend Daniel Foster Kokroko, aka Dafoko. Yeah, he's a great guy. He is an amazing young man, celebrating his birthday yesterday. And also my brother Michael SK Avle, celebrating your birthday, working with Farmerline. Enjoy the best of the times. Bernard, I want to wish my husband and my son, who turns 3 today, a happy birthday. May the Lord bless and order their steps. I love them dearly and they are a blessing to my life. Coming in from Charlotte to the husband and to the son. And from Gilbert Boa to his lovely wife, Nakai Soa of Zenith Bank. I want to wish you the best in life. Grateful for a partner like you. 16 years journey, made many memorable moments. We've made light of the challenges we face in our work. I wish you uncommon favor and grace to walk new heights. Coming from your husband Gilbert Boa to the wife Na Kaisoa of Zenith Bank.
So the phone pack is with phone now while guide it knows this is what she will do. Walk academy in the Binamanke or no when you move there on the phone. So the phone pack is with phone now while guide it knows. Charlie Mame, when American and Yawood in America. Hey, I'm going to win some yelling in Anayaka. It's but the master begin now.
I know. You know, yesterday. A friend of mine came to visit, and his daughter, who I knew wrote BC sometime last year, had gone to Form 1. So I was calling, free SHS. So she had gone to Form 1 on the, I think, 27th February. So I was like, she's gone very tall. She was like, okay. I was like, so you're home? And so I'm home. So when did you come home? I came home on the before Easter. Okay, so for when I'm going back to school, so we are going back to school in June. Charlie, I nearly collapsed. I said,
like it's vacation or Easter break.
Someone lady,
when is it?
So they went to school 27th February.
Of February.
So you can say they spent. Yeah, so basically they went to school end of February. So they went the whole of March. They were in school, and then they came home before Easter. When was Easter? Easter was what, last week. So they came home in the first week of April.
Why they fast tracked their teaching methods?
So I was wondering whether it was the same. So she said they came home. So before Easter. So they came home before. So Easter is 5th. Easter was like in 7th April, right? So they came home around 5th or 6th April. So 6th April is the Thursday before Good Friday.
Yeah.
Good Friday was the 7th.
So they came home around that time. Charlie.
And they went.
They are going back in June.
No. But how is that possible?
Charlie, June. The thing be some way. June. So I'm trying to. I'll understand the issue soon.
Is that a new calendar or what's going on?
No. So
you know that this thing
but to
came
be
up.
fair, what the parents said to me is that so now they are doing classes and things. So like they are home. The dad will be teaching. They will also have some teacher coming home.
Great. But
those are parents who can afford it.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about the calendar itself.
Yeah, the calendar itself. And
but the calendar is not new. We know this calendar. This is it just shocked. You know, I'm just bringing this to point out that we discussed the calendar on this show. So this calendar is not new, but it's a bit different when somebody you know actually goes to school and comes home and then she tells you that
after 1 month,
like
after like 5
weeks, and says he's going back in June.
I did my LLB within 2 years.
Yeah,
but that's when it's fast tracked. Like ideally, you should do it for 4 years in some cases or 3 years.
Yeah.
But I did mine in 2 years. But it's intense.
Yeah.
What's happening at the level of secondary school to 1 month? Basically, they spend 1 month in school. Somebody has to explain why it is the way it is.
But when you calculate
the contact hours,
all the contact hours at the end of the day,
at some point,
is the same thing.
1 month.
Yes, because you see, she will make up for it next term, and then by the time she gets to Form 2, there will be the calendar adjusts, so it corrects itself.
Really?
But
they've explained it.
Well, that's how they explain it.
They've worked it.
They've worked the numbers.
So it's pretty cool. Well, I'm actually not interested in that. What I'm interested in is more the. No. What I'm saying is that what my focus this morning was just to share with you how different it is to discuss something in theory and then to see it in practice. So this thing we are saying, there was a day Godfrey brought the calendar and we went through it. All right, and it didn't really connect because I don't have a child in SSS yet.
Yeah.
But when the girl came and I was talking to her and I realized that this is pretty serious. So she's going to be home the whole of May. And then she's going to go back in June. So extra classes and things. But that's not my focus. My focus is more on a school in Tamale. Is that not former President Mohammed school? You know, there are two big schools in Tamale. There's Tamasco and Ganasco. So it's like Prempe and Opokuware.
Yeah.
So it's like
1 and 2.
If you don't go to Ganasco,
you have to go.
You have to go to Tamasco.
In the northern region. There are two of the best schools.
They're all category schools.
Yes, highly competitive schools. So I want to approach the issue in 2 ways. Before we get into the details of what happened, why the students were sleeping in those cubicles, headmaster, I just want to appeal to the old students of the school to take control of the situation. Whatever it is, they should get involved and take control of the situation because there's a very big role for them to play. And they shouldn't sit down and allow the matter to degenerate. It's such an important school. It's showing so many important people in Ghana, right? So I think they should intervene, and they have some very illustrious alumni. I don't have the list, but if you go online and check it for me, Ganasco has they have a former president, they have some of the best brains in Ghana came from that school. So they shouldn't allow this topic to become something which degenerates into political football, right? They should get involved and resolve the matter. Whether the headmaster is at fault, whether it's wrong placement, whether it's miscommunication, whatever it is, Ganasco does not deserve this right now. So that's the first point I'll make. I will backtrack and update you who've not been following the news over the weekend on this story. But I think that the public's attention was drawn to this on social media when we don't know who took the initial video.
I think, yeah, that's right. But it's Honorable Clement Apaak who apparently widely circulated the videos to draw national attention to the problem. And he actually sent a message. Which message?
It's pretty long, yeah?
Yeah, it is. It has 3 videos attached to it.
Okay, if you can give me some highlights.
Okay, so he signs this message as a Member of Parliament for Bolsa South and Deputy Ranking Member on Education.
He's not an old boy of the school.
No, in solidarity. And then he says that it's only under this reckless, and he takes a political approach to it, and corrupting Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government, that toilets are converted to accommodate students in a secondary school. I just got the videos below from Ganasco in Tamale. Unthinkable, most shocking. Nada, which is referring to the president, must bow his head in shame. The issue of inadequate residential and academic space is only one of the many challenges bedeviling effective teaching and learning in our secondary schools. Our challenges remain inadequate infrastructure, inadequate and unwholesome food, erratic academic calendar, with students spending more time at home than in school, overworked teaching and non-teaching staff. Many are not aware that government, since the inception of the free senior high school policy, is yet to remit a pesewa to cover library and ICT fees. Yet, these fees are included in the basket of what government says is free. The MPP must be severely punished at the 2024 polls for the dissipation of our resources to the detriment of the future of our nation. What is more important, using our resources to fund a personal plate, cathedral, jetting in luxury jets, sharing COVID-19 funds to party and government officials, or funding education? The record of the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government in the education sector is most embarrassing. The levels of damage and retrogression will take years to fix. And again, in solidarity, signed Dr. Clement Apaak, MP Bolsa South and Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee of Parliament. And he
what is in the video?
Okay,
because all the thing you read has nothing to do with the video.
Yes,
you should tell us why is he going all this?
Okay, so he pictures it as a question of the lack of performance on the part of the government in the education sector. And then supplies 3 different videos. One that looks generally at the school. The other student is seen talking, or someone purporting to be a student of the school, because I cannot verify the same. And the third, which is causing so much anger, is the one with the cubicles being used by students allegedly as dormitories. So it is the third.
And when you see the video, the cubicles have not yet been connected with WCs. But there's a window, and the way it's designed, it's very clearly a toilet. But they haven't finished building it. And there's a chop box and some bag and things lined up there with some windows. So you see the way they do toilet windows. You see the window that allows air to come through.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you've seen the videos, haven't you?
Let me say first of all that if you watch the series and put it together, I think somebody went there to investigate. Obviously, a journalist or somebody had been given a hint that there was a problem, so he went. It's a he. Because if you listen to if you watch the video, you can see somebody's asking questions like, "What's happening? What's your situation?"
Knowingly recording.
Knowingly recording, and the students don't hide. They are showing what's there. And from the video, it's quite clear where the problem the students have is the lack of a proper place to defecate. Okay. Which is then further, which is made more pronounced by the fact that where they are sleeping is a place that was originally designed to serve as toilets. Okay. But due to circumstances beyond their control, now let me also reiterate that
let's use
these are cubicles.
Let's use washrooms.
Washroom. These are cubicles.
Breakfast
Breakfast this morning.
Charlie.
These are cubicles.
I wash
without the toilets, but you know, like when you build a place that is not meant to be used as a place where people will sleep. Yeah. So
the design of the place is not conducive for sleeping.
Yeah, so it's become a makeshift kind of place because it does have a lot of space.
Yeah.
If you look at
and some of their things are even hanging outside the room.
Outside. And the biggest gripe of the students, particularly the young man who spoke, and I applaud his bravery. Because he said he had been sick the past week. Is the fact that, look, he said since he came to the school, he's never used a washroom before.
Oh. So he's been doing...
Yes, he says you have to go
open
to the
defecation.
Yes, he says you have to go to the open. He says his concern, and he was...
So you don't have toilets in the school?
He was quite... they would have, but I think the numbers make it difficult. And he said the problem that they had was the dining hall is quite close by.
Oh, no.
So he says sometimes when they are eating and you see the flies...
Because people have gone to do open defecation in the bush.
He says sometimes the wind... No, let me describe what the boy said.
Yeah.
The wind also blows...
Actually, we can get the audio. And
we'll play the audio.
Yeah. The wind is also blowing the scent.
Blowing the scent their way. You know, and he said that the Friday before then, he had been diagnosed with typhoid.
Oh, that's a bad one.
Yeah, he had been diagnosed with typhoid. So he was appealing for authorities to build them a washroom. He didn't mean, and then also if they can, and he was very respectful about it. His language was very, decent. He said, look, if you can find us places to sleep.
So 3 problems. No washroom, not enough places to sleep, open defecation, all within the same space, leading to infections and things.
Now, there are 3 legs to this story. So this video came out. So I think we should play it chronologically. So we'll listen to the boy. Then we'll read the GS statement. Now, the headmaster who has been asked to step aside has also responded.
Okay.
To this. So I
guess
which
one do you think I should play first?
Play the student. It's a very short video. It's 1 minute, 49 seconds.
Okay, let's listen to the Ganasco student.
Facilities are the biggest problem we have in the school. We are trying, like, since we came as year ones, we haven't just been in the toilet to, like, ease ourselves, to feel ourselves every time, open defecation, people passing by, seeing us every day.
And how is this affecting your health and your academics?
Our health, I can say more about it because you just go to dining and just come back and just sit at the back and be eating and the flies there. So we come in sometimes when the wind is too much, it blows the papers and the scent is unbearable to control.
Have you had some of your students falling sick because of this?
Me standing there, I fall sick just recently. That was on Friday.
Which part of your body? What did you say is wrong with it? Typhoid and malaria. Okay. So right now, if you want to make an appeal on behalf of your colleagues, what would you say to the big man here?
I'll just plead on my colleagues' behalf for him to build us maybe 1 or 2 toilets for us.
But I'm told that this used to be a toilet, so what happened?
Yeah, it used to be a toilet, but because there's not enough space and
space as in
like where to sleep and those things. So
they converted it. Okay. All right. What's your name?
My name is Gadla.
So that was a student. Now here's the headmaster speaking. His name is Douglas Haruna Yakubu, and he didn't speak in this video. He was speaking in a different.
Yes. He reacted to this.
Okay, so let's.
So he was trying to explain
the problem,
the issue, and basically debunked the assertion that the kids were sleeping in cubicles that had been originally designed as toilets. In fact, he said that he went to the school as an old boy in 1983, and he slept in some of those places.
Are you serious?
Yes. So
okay, let's hear him.
My name is Douglas Haruna Yakubu, Headmaster Ghana Senior High, Tamale. We all saw the reportage on social media about Ghana Secondary School turning toilet facilities into dormitories. And I want to reiterate this point. It is totally false. It has never happened and will not happen. In this school, we are running the transitional track system, where when some students are home, others are in school. And the purpose for this is to make sure that we have accommodation in both boarding house and then classroom. So we have enough. As we said, we can even admit more day students into our boarding house. How can we convert toilet facilities into dormitories? We have more than enough. What came on social media is absolutely false, and for whatever reason that person has done it, I don't know. I cannot tell. But I thought that ordinarily, as a very good journalist, when you go inside a school or an institution to take pictures, come to the authorities and find out whether we have converted, as his own words, converted toilet facilities into dormitories. I think there's no fairness here. So what is coming on, or whatever is going on in social media, is false. What he saw, which for me, I want to use the word advisedly, he is told to see, is that these buildings, which were constructed by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in the 60s, have some attachments, toilet facilities. But I tell you, right from the late 70s, these toilet facilities have not been used as toilets. Myself, I'm an old boy, and I left here in 1983. The same place that he took these pictures, I was sitting there learning. We used to carry tables and chairs candidates usually like isolated places. So sometimes as they go, they carry their mattresses and go and lie there. You can't come and dramatize these things in our school and then come and say that we have converted. Did I ever tell you I converted a toilet facility into dormitory? It's not possible. So please, it is not true. I'm getting angry. It's not.
So that was the headmaster denying. So he's saying that the images we saw are from the school, but they are false in the sense that that's not the sleeping place of the students.
Well, the students, this boy who was telling the story said that is where he sleeps. And also, I'm sorry, but when you watch the videos, it does not look like temporary settlements for the students.
Yeah, because there was chop box and trunk.
Yeah, chop boxes are there. There was a boy who uses crutches to move, standing in front of his cubicle. And if you looked inside his cubicle, you could immediately tell that is where he lived because of some of the things that he had in there. So.
But the headmaster is saying that that area, initially built for toilets, had never been used as toilets, and that they used to go and study there.
Yes, and that he says still students do that.
And then he also says they have
his
space for 300 more day students to become boarders.
Which is confirmed by the Ghana Education Services statement, which is why they've asked him to
So then why has he been suspended then?
Yeah, because they are saying, well, if he has space, why are students living under?
But he's saying that the students are not living there, they are just there to study.
Yeah, so I guess the GSS, they've asked him to step aside so that they can investigate.
We'll come back to this story. This is quite serious because the headmaster was quite adamant that this is not true. But the videos also speak for themselves, as you say.
Well, the students are the ones telling the story. And for me, the thing that I want to look at is, you see, the past 5 or 6 reports that have come public have all been reports by students. If you sometimes the language has not been good because, but the point is the students are becoming more vocal about
finding ways of speaking out.
Speaking about the conditions in which they live when they are in school. The food, the videos we've seen of the food at the dining hall has come from students. All kinds of things. Which I find
students if they record themselves going hard at the authorities and stuff.
So let me not forget the 3 things you said. The issue of accommodation, like space for the students.
Yes.
The issue of open vivification because they don't have toilets, which the headmaster did not address. And then the issue of where they sleep and the effect of the open vivification on even health. And then you are talking about students speaking out. Now, I'll come back to all of this in a couple of minutes and do a few interviews. Now, I just need to say that a month ago, a friend of mine who attends or who is an old student of Koforidia SecTech, he sent me videos of his school. He went to visit the school. And then he said, Bernard, and this is what he said, Bernard, I'm currently in my old school, and the issues and the stories and what I've seen with my eyes is so bad. I am so sad. Toilets have been full and broken since last year, June. Now they are doing open defecation in my former school, so for Radio SecTech, and he sends videos, which messed up my day anyway. But he sent them all the same. There are a few other people who are saying these kinds of things, and we don't want to overgeneralize. We want to pick the Ganasco story, get into it, and see if we can get more facts. Before that, though, in this era of haircuts on investments, be smart with your cash and invest in a venture that guarantees full returns. With just 2 deep freezers, a block structure, and a minimum of 10,000 cedis, you can become a farm milk agent today. Farm milk is empowering Ghanaians to be entrepreneurial, and this is your opportunity to become your own boss. Cash out now with as little as 10,000 cedis, and Farm Milk will support you with the sales equipment you need, as well as set you to become your own boss. Call Farm Milk now on 030-7000-595. That's 030-7000-595, and we'll set you up to start earning up to 10% monthly returns. At Imperial General Assurance, we believe your insurance experience should be memorable. Insure with us with the peace of mind to focus on what matters to you, because we will be there for you when the unexpected happens. Our newly introduced travel insurance policy, the Imperial Travel, gives you total cover for all your travels outside Ghana. Talk to us today for all your insurance needs: motor, engineering, accident, marine, fire, etc. Call Imperial General on 0302-788-955. You can also follow us on social media: Imperial General Assurance, solid protection. In support of the local poultry industry, La Bianca has introduced their first made in Ghana set, Akoko Tasty, locally produced bread and slaughtered freshly frozen chicken, as Richard likes to call it, kuklu. Comes freshly portioned in chicken breast, chicken thighs, chicken wings, and gizzards. La Bianca is a sole distributor of Akoko Tasty. Call 0505-431-111 for more information. And what if I told you that first things first? What if I told you that 1 comes before 2, or that A comes before B, or that the B has to come before N? Well, that's what FBN Bank is all about. At FBN Bank, our financial services offer the gold standard of value and excellence. When you think of a bank that cares and puts customers first, come to the bank that puts the B before the N. Think FBN, FBN, you first. Check and social media trends brought to you by FBN, you first. All right, Nathan?
Yeah, in the trends, very, very interesting things there. Gold Mafia is trending. Al Jazeera is trending for very obvious reasons. Remember that? Yeah, the documentary. So it's generating a lot of conversation. Abigail is also trending. Why? Abigail won the most recent edition of Talented Kids. So she's generating a lot of talk on on social. On the sporting side, Partey is trending. Arsenal fans talking about Thomas Partey as Arsenal drew 2-2 with West Ham. Some people not too happy with his performance. Nottingham Forest also trending. Sancho trending. A lot of that sporting related. There are a few basketball trends here and there because the playoffs are happening. In terms of tech news, though, this is for those who love their games. Now, the maker of the Angry Birds video games, I don't know how many people play Angry Birds here, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners do. So Rovio Entertainment, they make Angry Birds. They have agreed to be taken over by Japanese gaming giant Sega. Sammy Hold is now the deal. Will see Sega pay 706 million euros for the company. In February, Finland-based Rovio announced that it had launched a review of the business, including holding discussions over a potential sale, and it confirmed on Saturday that it was in talks with Sega.
You know, there was a point in my life where if I didn't take care, I would have become addicted to Angry Birds.
Yeah.
So I got a fresh, this is like 2016. I got
you like playing Angry
fresh
Birds?
iPad. And then I had Angry Birds free. So when you start playing it, it's very simple. Basically, it's like you're using the concept of the catapult.
Yeah.
So you have a bird that you're using
And then
to hit pigs or an enemy. So you sort of pull it, and then depending on the accuracy of the angle,
you can.
so you can
knock
teach
as
kids
many-
angle and force. It's a great game. But you know, the more you play it, they start creating interesting scenarios. So now you're in a forest, you are in some ice thing, and there are different kinds of projectiles. And for me, you see, this is the thing. Angry Birds is good for when you start studying maths at some level, start taking projectiles and force and things. So, for example, the surface area. So some of the big balls can have a certain kind of impact. They are great. It's a great game. But the truth is that if you don't take care,
you can't addict it.
you play Angry Birds for 6 hours. So I also stopped the kids from playing. Because they also like, Angry Birds. One person, no, this thing is crazy. So I don't know what Sega would do with it.
Well, yes.
But I'm just wondering why in the gaming, our people are not doing that many. Apart from our friend Mauli Tete, who's done, I don't know if that's his name, he's the first Ghanaian who's been seriously noted for gaming with African characters. We don't seem to be playing that well in the gaming space. But a lot of middle-class Ghanaians who can afford it actually are into gaming.
Oh yeah, people do love playing their video games.
Yeah,
people love their video games.
You are looking at me, you don't know Angry Birds. That time you were learning law. you were reading the law.
Generally, I mean,
it's a nice game.
They are not things. They are not my go-to stuff.
Yeah, let me tell you that. You see, this is the thing. Technology is the double-edged sword. Like if your kids watch this cartoon, Blaze and the Monster Machines, like. If you have a 6 to 5, maybe 4 to 6 year old watching Blaze and Monster Machine, say the kind of things they introduce you to, force, talk. Yeah. Like they'll tell you that this guy has to ride their truck over this bridge. How many units of force do they need to get over it? They are basically teaching your child engineering in a very basic way. It's great. Physics. With most things like this, parental supervision is key. Yeah. If you leave them to watch it when you are not there, you're in trouble. If I had such initiation earlier, because I struggled with a lot of the physics because I couldn't conceptualize it. Right, but what these games teach you is the concept. So before they even start telling you numbers and representing A for 2 and 3 and things, you already understand conceptually what force is, right? Which we need to introduce in our education, right? So if you go to school and your headmaster is still holding the notes and still coming to no, start from the reality, and then say, by the way, if you want to solve it, this is what you do. You know, so like recently I went to a certain boot camp where the guy said he was going to show the kids, and sorry, I've taken over this. He was going to show the kids like drone flying. But then he says, before I can let you fly the drone, or I'll let you fly the drone, but the condition is that you also start learning drone programming. Or some kids wanted to use virtual reality. Then he says, no problem. But you can do basic programming first. Because you start with the fun thing. When the child gets it,
interested,
then you can introduce.
But you have schools don't even have toilets.
Yeah.
So how are we going to resolve that in 21st century world where, Charlie, some kids are being introduced to technology at the highest level very early?
You see, the thing about games for me, I mean, back in school, you know, there was this game. It's rectangular sort of.
Well, Game Boy.
Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah, you turn the, what do you call it? So there are logs.
Yeah.
You turn it.
Tetris.
I don't even know that.
Tetris, yeah.
I remember that someone, you know, the well-to-do guys brought one to school. Charlie, Opana go carry that thing. Charlie.
The thing got lost.
Charlie. Hey! I had to pay through my nose for that thing. And ever since.
Because you began.
Now you stay away from
it. So use your right to control.
Yeah, then and then the thing will come down.
Yeah. And it's teaching your mind the way to organize.
The way to organize, yes.
It's an amazing thing.
Honestly, I actually need it. If people still sell it around. Yeah, that's right. Because honestly, that is scarred my mind.
No, I had to use your mind. Because you need Tetris in your life. Nathan, thank you.
All right.
One day, an old lady inherited a huge sum of money. Her family worried about how to break the good news to her. They feared that the sudden good news might give her a heart attack. And so they decided the family doctor who was experienced in delivering such news should be the one to tell her. And when he did, surprisingly, she just smiled. Relieved, he asked, "What are you going to do with all that money?" She replied, "I'm going to give you half." The doctor had a heart attack. People are often surprised when we put them first. At FBN Bank, that's what we do. We put you first. Open an account with us today and enjoy mobile banking, USSD banking, shop and pay with our prepaid Visa cards, MasterCard, and many other services designed with you in mind. FBN Bank, put you first.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
There are moments in life when you're just so scared and you feel like just giving.
Into gaming with African characters. He's persisted at this for a long time. Now,
that's good.
Let's talk about a couple of things before I come back to this cool issue. If you're looking for a bank that understands you and puts your financial needs first, don't look too far. Zenith Bank is your bank of choice. We have the products tailor-made for you. Whichever age, whether you're young, old, entrepreneur, student, salary worker, or whatever, Zenith Bank has what you need. Join the Zenith family today. Call 0302680884. That's 0302680884. Or send an email to info@zenithbank.com.gh for more information.
Now, grabbing your favorite drink for all your different occasions can be tricky sometimes, but that's not the story when Coca-Cola is in the mix. Get your favorite Coke Classic 300 ml, and it's selling at 5 cedis. And if you get the same 300 ml Coke Zero Fanta and Sprite, you get that at 4 cedis. If you want more Coke, get the 1.5 liter Coke Classic at 20 cedis and the 1.5 liter Coke Zero Fanta and Sprite at 18 cedis. Real ice cold refreshment for your friends and family, brought to you by Coca-Cola. Now, everyone is looking for that one thing that pushes them to bring out their best and enables them to reach peak performance, and your car wants the same. That's why you need to be giving your car a lot of Shell Helix engine oil. It's specially designed to bring out the best in your engine and protects it from wear and tear while providing the power and performance needed to give you the best ride every time. Visit your local Shell station today and experience the difference for yourself. Now, you contribute to the growth and success of the Ghanaian textile industry every time you wear your authentic fabrics. GTP says thank you. Always purchase original, genuine and authentic GTP fabrics. Check that the design number on the label is also printed on the selvage. You can call 050-994-0949 to buy online or visit any of the accredited dealers nationwide or any wooden shop. GTP Lifestyle.
I'm going to talk to the headmaster of Ghana Senior High School shortly. The GES has asked that he step aside to allow for further investigations into the matter by the Regional Director of Education. But the headmaster has kindly agreed to talk to us because initially in the report, he had been interviewed and he denied the... He says the video was even not properly procured or properly put, whatever. I think the access to the school, they didn't come the right way. So I'm just going to get a few thoughts from him on this matter. Good morning, Mr. Haruna Yakubu.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Good. So have you seen all three videos in question? Because we saw three. You've seen all three. And can you confirm that these videos were taken in your school?
Oh, I've said it on several media platforms that these videos were taken in my school. That's a fact.
Fair enough.
I haven't denied that at all.
And can you confirm that the gentleman who was interviewed in the second video talking about conditions in the school is indeed a student of yours?
He is a student in my school. He's an assistant house prefect.
Great. So let's deal with the one that is causing the controversy. There was one showing some cubicles or some rooms where we saw some students chop boxes and things and a student in clutches. Yeah. And this was supposed to be a sleeping place for the students. Now, I've heard you say that this place has been in the school for a long time and it's a place people go and study. So it's not actually a dormitory. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, I can do that. Thanks so much for asking. And let me also commend you for trying to know the truth. Because other media stations have just gone ahead to publish stories that are unfounded. And I thought that the best thing to do is always to come to the ground to find out. So let me commend you for even trying to find out. The fact is that that story that the gentleman did is never the truth of it. It is never true. Look, Ghana Senior High has never, and will never convert toilet facility into dormitory. We have enough. I can say that boastfully, in fact, that in northern Ghana, that's why I'm including the 5 northern regions, we have the most dormitories that you can think of. Recently, they handed over a new dormitory facility that can take about 800 students. So we evacuated students from an old dormitory to that place. As I talk now, that old dormitory is just standing. So why would we convert a toilet facility into dormitory? Now, that facility they want to say we converted into dormitory has been so for many years. It has never been a dormitory. It's always a boxes room. It's always a cleaning materials room. So it is a store more or less. But then, in the 60s, when Kwame Nkrumah built the place, there were washrooms, you see, and they still have the design of washrooms. That facility has not been modernized. They have some moving blocks to change it to a dormitory. They are just small cubicles. And that is where we keep our, top boxes when students are traveling. We have students coming from as far as Western region to our school. So if we decide to use a place for as boxes, I don't know why people would want to take it for granted that is
So these are makeshift box rooms, not sleeping places.
They are never sleeping places.
So how come in the video you see where the yellow gallon is? There is a mattress in front of that door, and there's like a sleeping cloth on the mattress. What is that?
Yes. So you see, these are tricks that sometimes, let me excuse my word, you journalists can always do. And that's one of the reasons why most heads of institutions do not want to engage journalists. You have gone to dramatize. I don't know where he got the experience from. The possibility is that these mattresses that you see might have been taken from the dormitory, which is just an attachment to the place, for him to cover his pictures or his videos and leave. So I am surprised. Seeing, if you come, that's why I said all journalists or media houses who wanted the truth should come to the ground. You see, when you say the picture is as if we have cleaned up a toilet, washed all the feces and all nasty things, and used it as a dormitory. It is not true. Far back in the 80s, this place has been like that. Look, you will not find fetus. There are no fetus.
Yeah. To be fair, you are right. When you look at the video, these are cubicles, but there's no toilet installed. But the other thing I saw in the second room. So I see a black bag, I see a student in clutches, and then I see a buta, which people use for ablution. So it looks like a place where somebody, and then I see clothes hang on the walls. You see, so it appears for those of us who are not in the school to be a place that is habited. I see people's slippers on the floor in the room, and I see a buta. So a buta is basically you pour water, go and do your ablution, come back. So it seems very much like a place that is being habited.
You are right. And I'm saying that, you see, the gentleman you saw in crutches is a disabled student. Now, there are 2 cubicles attached to the building that you see in that video. Unfortunately, again, this gentleman who did the filming did not film those cubicles, which are meant for prefects. Now, this gentleman in crutches is a student, 3rd-year student. He is a disabled, and he's been allocated a accommodation that is upstairs. So we did him a favor. Because of your disability, go and live with, the prefect. So he's privileged to be in a prefect's room. Yet he has been very disingenuous to the school. By telling him that he also lives in a toilet. Can you imagine this sort of thing? Now the buta and then the cloth that you see. When we went back, we didn't see these things. Yet in the video you will find them. So the intention is that the prefect might have intentionally displayed these things to make the guy who took the videos, make it look as if it's a dormitory. Those cubicles are so tiny and so hot that students cannot live in them. How wicked are we to turn a toilet into a dormitory? Well, we have enough.
All right.
It is not fair. That's not fair.
That's very good to hear. The student in question that we had in the interview, he was wearing a checkered red top. You say he's a prefect. He did not directly, I didn't hear him directly say that they slept there, but what I heard him say was that they don't have toilet facilities and therefore students have to do open defecation, and that when sometimes they even go to the dining hall to eat, they can smell the effects of the open defecation, which is not too far from the dining hall. So I did not hear him talk about sleeping in the cubicle, but what I heard him say in the video was that, and I've played this video on air actually, was that they don't have enough toilet facilities in the school and therefore they do open defecation. Is this correct?
So is a focus on toilet or dormitory? You saw the headline.
No, I'm not.
It's misleading. I'm coming. I understand. I'm just trying to tell you something. The headline is misleading. If you had said
so, which headline are you talking about? Because I'm not calling you in reference of a headline. I'm calling you in reference of a.
I'm trying to answer your question. That the boy said where he sleeps, he smells toilet. As if the school has no toilet. That's what I'm trying to answer.
Yes.
So I said that his headline then is misleading. If he had said Ghana Senior High converts dormitory into toilet, it therefore means that Ghana Senior High lacks toilet. But he said Ghana Senior High converts toilet into dormitory, which means that we have toilets and we don't have dormitories. So now the boy is saying that where he sleeps, and it is fact that his dormitory is in that same building that you saw him, because he is a prefect. Where he sleeps, that they smell feces, it's just ridiculous. You see, why won't you smell feces if you are not very far from the main toilet that you live? The main toilet that they go to ease themselves is not too far from the dormitory. We can't put it very far, and we cannot construct toilets for every student. The school we call toilet senior high then. So at least even in the university where students go to ease themselves, when you go in the toilet, you wait and go intense. It's the same thing as all senior high schools. Why would we be saying that because we have he said he sleeps in the dormitory?
No, okay. Again, let me just clarify. What I heard him say was that they don't have enough toilets in the school, and for which reason?
Enough food.
No, I'm coming. Let me just frame the question. That when they go to the dining hall, he wasn't even talking about the where he sleeps. So when they go to the dining hall, the effect of the open defecation is that there are flies and sometimes the smell. And then he also went ahead after he was asked whether people fall sick, and he says even he or somebody else had typhoid recently. So he was making reference to open defecation in the school because of lack of toilets.
And there again he goes. When they go to dining hall, that's why I said let your reporter come here and take pictures. They should videotape whatever is there. You will find the dining hall is nowhere near any bush. It's nowhere near any toilet. To the extent that you say flies will come. Look, even in our homes, don't flies come in. Even sometimes in your bedroom, you find the fly. You'll be shocked to know where the fly is coming from. Can we go and prevent flies from going wherever they want to go? These are just ridiculous stories that this, and I believe these stories have been cooked by the same person, asking the student to say what he wanted to say. It's unfortunate.
Do you know the person who did the original story?
I know him.
Is he a journalist?
I know him. Yes, I doubt. I'm not sure he's a journalist, but I know him. I don't know him as a journalist.
Yeah, because you keep making reference to journalists, which is why I'm asking if this is
no,
the work of a
fact is that. So I'm saying this because some journalists, how do you call them? In fact, highly learned journalists that I listen to most today have gone ahead to make comments on this without finding out like Citi FM is doing or Citi News is doing. Why wouldn't they find out? That's why I said journalists.
Well, fair enough. Now that we have you, just to clarify, you said that there's enough accommodation to take an extra 300. So just give me some quick numbers. How many students do you have in the school? How many houses do you have? And what is the state of the facilities in the school?
We have 8 houses in the school. 2 houses are standing free. Nobody, not a single student is in them. And the reason is because we are doing the transitional track system, where when some students are home, others are in school. So there is enough. There's enough. Also, figures, I don't want to cook figures. I need to see my records and tell you figures. I don't like.
But how many students do you have in the school in total?
In total, we have about 3,000 plus.
Okay. And
yes, but some are at home, some are in school.
Do you know the proportion of boarders versus day for the 3,000?
Yes, it's 70 to 30.
70% boarders, 30 day.
Yes.
So roughly 2,000 boarders.
Yes.
And what is
the 2,000 boarders means not all of them will be in school.
Yes.
So we're doing a transitional
Yes.
track.
So the middle track will be home. So I think the Form 1s are home now.
Form 1s are home, yes.
Yes.
Form
Now
1s, we have about 1,470 something.
So you probably have about 400 people in school as we speak as boarders.
There will be more because the third years.
The third years have come. Okay, so then it. Okay.
Yeah.
My other question was: so how many toilet facilities do you have?
You'll be snappy for me. I'm going in for another meeting.
Yes, just to be clear, since you have how many toilet facilities do you have? Are you able to say?
We have. There are not less than 6.
So this is 6 sets.
About 8.
8 sets of toilet facilities. Is this WC or KVIP?
Some are WC and then the others KVIP. Not KVIP. There's quarter. The one that they use little water to. I don't know their name.
Is the new improved toilets? I see.
Yes. Even there are 2 new ones that we have not started using. Water hasn't been connected to them. So when they even add up, we have a bigger number.
So finally, how do you feel about being asked to step aside by the GES for investigation to proceed?
It's a directive, and I have to comply by the directive. That's just all about it. I have to comply. They are my officers, and they've directed me to step aside. Why not? I'll do that. So, and I'm doing that today for them to investigate.
All right, we'll follow up for you to keep us posted on the development. Thank you, Mr. Douglas Haruna Yakubu. He's the headmaster of Ghana Senior High School, Tamale. So, very strong
defense.
Yes, of the story. I just wanted to listen to the student again, just for clarity that I've not misrepresented the student.
No, not at all.
No, I just want to hear it again. So let's hear the student again, who is a prefect, who the headmaster seems to be unhappy with. And then, but let's hear the student.
Facilities are the biggest building in our school. We are trying, since we came as year ones, we haven't just been to the toilet to ease ourselves, to free ourselves every time we open the station, people passing by, seeing us every day.
And how is this affecting your health and your academics?
Our health, I can say more about it because you just go to dining and just come back and you just sit at the back and be eating and the flies there. So we come in sometimes when the wind is too much, it blows the papers and the scent is unbearable to control.
Have you had some of your students falling sick because of this?
Me standing there,
I forced it just recently. That was on Friday.
Which part of your body? What did you say is wrong with it? Typhoid and malaria. Okay. So right now, if you want to make an appeal on behalf of your colleagues, what would you say to the big man here?
Oh yeah, I'll just plead on my colleagues' behalf for him to build us maybe 1 or 2 toilets for us.
But I'm told that this used to be a toilet, so what happened?
Yeah, it used to be a toilet, but because there's not enough space and
Space as in...
like where to sleep and those things. So
They converted it. Okay. All right. What's your name?
So he says there's not enough space, and the headmaster says this place is adjacent to the dorm, and it's a box room. So it's not. It's next to the prefect's dorm, and that it's a box room, and that the journalists colluded with the student to create the impression as though people were sleeping there.
So where are the boxes?
You see?
Where are the boxes?
There was a chop box. You saw a couple of chop boxes. One there was
the chop box was there
in the inside.
trunk,
There was a trunk, and there was a mattress, and then there was a. It looked like a place somebody lives.
The third room had a linoleum.
Yes.
With a mattress.
Yes.
A table and a chair.
Yes. And then that buka was
the
buta
and everything.
And then there's a yellow gallon. So it must have. If the headmaster is to believe, that means the people really did a good job in setting the place up to look.
What end?
I don't know.
To what end? Why him? Why Ganasco? Is there some conspiracy against him?
But the headmaster is using facts. He's saying that the school has 300 more spaces.
So
and they have 2 houses that they have not even habited. So it's not possible for people to be sleeping there.
So what? Then the GES investigation will be a very quick one.
Yes.
This should not even take a day.
Because they will know by now whether the numbers the headmaster is putting out are correct.
This should just take a day. You understand? And then the question then becomes, what are the students doing there? Because I was in a boarding house, you were in a boarding house.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be supervised at all times. At all times. That's why I have a house master.
Mm-hmm.
So who supervises the kids who sleep? Or if this is the previous cubicle, means they don't get supervised. It's a part of a traditional house.
He said the school, that place is a lower floor, so there's even disability access, for which reason the disabled student we saw, his dorm is just adjacent to this place.
But Bernard, I was a prefect, a pretty high-ranking one.
Oh, yeah. I think you were grounds or something.
No, but you'll get there.
Punishment
I was
prefect.
senior house prefect.
Hey, that's a big post. Senior house prefect.
Yes. So,
yeah.
Oh yes.
No, it's a big post, though.
The post, no. All the house prefects.
Managing
the boss.
Managing
house prefect.
Yeah, so you are working under the senior house master.
Basically.
Who is the most feared person in the school?
I was O-Square's left hand.
Charlie. Wow. Then you know the small cases some students catch you.
Charlie, this matter.
Let's move on.
But the point is, I slept in a cubicle. Maybe it's per colleague. I'm sure you would have seen a prefect's cubicle at Presec.
Mm-hmm.
Prefect's cubicles look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
They are designed to reflect status
per
the environment. If that is a Ganasco?
He's saying that this is adjacent. He said this is a box. Yes, he says it's adjacent to the box. So it's not. This is the box room.
Why is it occupied?
He says it's not occupied. That there is supposed to be a place where they store extra materials.
But it is occupied.
He says they set it up to look occupied. That's what the man is. He's saying that. He's not even saying this is like misleading. No, he said this is deliberate misrepresentation.
So the living conditions of students.
He's saying that it's mischief and it's deliberate.
Where a group of students showed their face.
He says that
willingly.
He says the so-called journalist goes to the school and for whatever reason convinces this prefect to engage in such lies. That's what he's saying. So indeed, I even fear for the student. From the way the headmaster is talking. The 2 students, the prefect and the guy in
clutches,
and the word is he's the
physically disabled person.
No, he's not disabled. He's a physically
challenged.
Yeah, so that's those 2 students, from the way the headmaster is talking, are in a lot of trouble.
Why are they in trouble?
Because they colluded with a fake journalist to do a fake story, according to the headmaster.
Okay.
To misrepresent the school.
Okay. All right.
And you see, this is the issue.
Leave it to the GS.
No, we need to send Diana there.
Let me say.
Yes, you see, the thing is, we have to go there, even if the evidence is not there. Go and speak to students off the record and also on the record. The headmaster is now being asked to step aside. by the way he's talking, he will probably welcome journalists to come to the school.
Oh, certainly.
Now, there are some things you can't hide. All right. If you go to Presec now, there's no way you can hide that the biggest hall in the school cannot accommodate all students for assembly. Because when they have Sunday evening service, over 2,000 students sit outside. So you can't hide it. So there are some things you can hide. So if you say, for example, there are 2 houses that are not occupied, you're saying you have 3,000 students, 70% of whom are boarders, and then you are saying also that the 4 ones are. You can confirm these things. You will not be able to confirm if this particular room is a sleeping room now because they may have done something there. Just that. But I still think Diana should go there, or because this is Tamale, and go and speak to the students and try and get us the facts, because we are basing all of this on a video that's been circulated on social media
by the students,
and then a comment around it by a member of the Parliament Education Committee, and then a GES letter. So this is really beyond just speculation. Now, the other point is GES didn't think this was serious.
They do not have asked you to step aside to
investigate. Right? The GS has asked the headmaster to step aside for investigation. So they've raised it to a very high level.
But I'm saying, listen to the headmaster and his very
strong defense.
I'm saying this investigation should not take long.
You see, Bernard, do you know how kids suffer when they are being kept by a person not, strictly speaking, their parents?
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you go into a house, you see the kids wearing brand new clothes, right? Because someone is visiting. The reality as to what kids go through in the absence of a visitor, only they can tell you when you are actually listening to what they go through, or when you take the trouble to pay attention to them. The point I'm making is that as we were talking to the headmaster, quite a number of comments have come in.
Okay.
People have listened to the story, and many people are sending in statements and comments suggesting that Ganasco is not the only school experiencing issues related to accommodation and the rest. People are going back to the question of food and all of that. So what it tells you is that today, if you send Dinah Ngong to this particular school, perhaps they would have packed out of the place, or someone would have directed that, the students should leave the place. And you go, you see them sleeping in, or they will clean up their halls and the place will be looking shine. But the reality as to what happens there every day, you can only either go there undercover to uncover what happens there, or the students will be telling you, or headmasters will be telling you, or teachers will be telling you off the record, or perhaps on condition of anonymity, what actually happens there. It is not possible to just take a camera there today and you find that things are that bad, unless the people want to actually be a part of the effort to resolve the problem. So what am I saying? I'm saying that, look, sometimes people suggest that there is a culture of silence within the educational system as we see it now, because of all kinds of reasons. We've received a long statement, a series of comments that have been sent in from a person who is said to be a teacher, within one of the schools. Here's what the person says. It says, Charlie, asking the Ganasco head to step aside is just a way of deepening the already existing culture of silence within the GES. At this juncture, all heads of senior high schools should be made to step aside for giving these students food they won't serve their kids at home, allowing students to sleep at places they won't allow their kids to sleep at home, and over congestion in every dormitory. See, the problem is more than what the media is reporting. The dining hall cannot contain the students, and on top of that, the students don't even want to eat about 70 or between 70 and 80% of the meals that they serve them.
I want to pause and take an interview. Okay. And I also don't want us to lose sight of the main thrust of the initial show, the discussion. There are discussions about food and all, but this morning's program is that students are sleeping in a structure that was meant to be a toilet.
It is alleged.
Which the headmaster is saying is not true. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't discuss other problems with secondary education, but I think that we need to do justice to this particular story because it is very alarming.
That's true.
And if it is found to be false, we have to also proceed with that level of caution and care. So let's talk to Clement Apaak, MP for Busa South, Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee, whose initial post drew our attention to the story. Honorable Apaak, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. Good morning to your panelists and to listeners.
Just a point of interest. Are you an old student of Ganasco?
No, I am not. I went to Sandema Secondary Technical School, Form 1 to 5. Then I proceeded to Nandom Secondary School for my 6th form.
Wonderful. So where did you first get this story from? And what did you do before you made the Facebook post? Because I saw your social media post, I think a couple of days ago on this. Where did you see the story and did you do any checks before you made a comment around it?
Well, the story is not my story. For the sake of transparency and for the record, a media house known as Rainbow Radio is the media house to be credited for the videos and then the story. Rainbow Radio has a reporter in Tamale, and from their own original story, before I even shared the videos that they sent to me to accompany the story, the reporter was doing an investigation on sanitation. And so, having gone to the campus of Ganasco to do his story on sanitation, he became aware that students were using themselves in the open. So based on that, he then sought to find out why that was the case. It was this that led him to the awareness as per his interaction with students that a facility that should be serving, a facility that should have been set up as a toilet facility, is not serving that purpose, but rather students have moved to occupy that space. So he then moved to that next level, went into that space, and I recorded the second video. So there are 3 clips that I shared. The first was the evidence showing that students were indeed practicing open defecation, because you could clearly see in that video human fecal matter. And the second was when he was then led to the space that, according to the students, should have been serving as a toilet facility. It was there that he then was informed that that space, those cubicles, are now being occupied by students because of challenges to do with accommodation. So he then recorded that clip, which I shared as well. Then the third clip was when he interviewed one of the students who is an occupant of the said space. And indeed, if you listen to the video, the student confirmed that he was one of the students who lived in that space, which ostensibly are cubicles that should be set up as toilet facilities. But you could visibly see in the video the mattresses, the top boxes, and anyone who is familiar with our secondary school system and the way, the kinds of items that we take to school, when you see the video, there can be a doubt that indeed this is a space that was being occupied. So that is how the story came to me, and this is the explanations that I got from the media house and the reporter who broke the story.
So you believe the story and the sequence to be true? based on the video you saw and the narration of the journalist?
Well, I had no doubt, because I know for a fact that accommodation challenges as far as our secondary schools are concerned is present.
Okay, the headmaster tells me this morning that the story was staged. He says that the school has the highest number of accommodation facilities available in the northern region, and that in fact they have 2 uninhabited houses, and so that's point 1. So they have more boarding facilities than even students in boarding. Number 2, the space that the journalist did the filming, the film about the student talking, is a box room attached to a prefect's dormitory. So that place is not a toilet that was converted. It was initially designed in the 60s as some kind of toilet, but was not really used. And it's a box room where we know what a box room is, right? They keep excess chop boxes and things. So he believes that the journalist colluded with the student to just create the impression as though people were sleeping there, when in fact they actually have dormitories adjacent to the place. And so the whole story is concocted. What do you make of that?
Well, that is his rendition. I've seen a press release that indicates that there's going to be an investigation. And I believe that it will come out. But you see, off the bat, I can tell you that since this story broke, I have received calls that this phenomena, I will call it this phenomena, where spaces that ought not to serve as abodes for students are being used by students, is not confined or limited to what we have seen with regards to Ganasco. I can tell you that. And I can also tell you that I confronted the headmaster on Friday myself. I was to come to that. Because as a member of the Public Accounts Committee, we are currently undertaking our tour. So we were in the Northern Zone. And Ganasco was one of the schools that was cited in the Auditor General's report as far as pre-university institutions are concerned. So when the headmaster appeared before our committee and finished responding to the queries as per the Auditor General's report, I sought permission from the chair of the committee, the Honorable James Kulichi, to ask a public interest question to the headmaster based on the story that was done by Rainbow Radio and the videos that I had seen. Indeed, the headmaster confirmed that the said video, the cubicles, and the environment was his campus. He then went on when I asked him whether management had converted a toilet facility, because that was the story. If you read the original Rainbow story, it actually says that the school management has converted a toilet facility into a dormitory. When I asked him whether that was indeed the case, and this is on record because Public Accounts Committee proceedings are recorded, and I even have the clip of my interactions with the headmaster. His response was that management had not converted a toilet facility for students to live in as accommodation. And indeed, he made the same case that they have sufficient space. They have sufficient space. And that they could even take in more students. So the accommodation challenges were not so pressing as to warrant the management of the school converting a facility that should serve as a toilet into a dormitory. So I then asked him, then why would students go and live in such a space if, as he is saying, there is adequate space in the normal dormitories for them to dwell in? And his response was that that space was a space in an older building that was not being used. And that those cubicles were not serving as toilet facilities, although if you look at the design, that is what they were supposed to say. In fact, he gave the narration that he was not even aware that students have moved in to occupy the said space. He went on to indicate that because the video had gone viral by then, and the media had become very interested, before he even came to attend to the summons of the Public Accounts Committee, he had delegated the senior housemaster to take other media personnel to the space, and that they were going to initiate processes to find out how that happened. To quote him, "This happened on my blind side." So that was the response of the headmaster. And I confronted him with the issue directly, publicly, in front of everyone. Now, we have seen it playing out, and we have since seen the ministry through the Ghana Education Service asking him and the senior housemaster to step aside. I agree that an investigation ought to be conducted because we still have to find out why students would move into that space. I don't think that students on their own, without any pressure, would intentionally move in such a space. And I have no reason to doubt the students who granted the interview, because if you listen to the tapes, they are audible. The journalist asked them specific questions. The one student that was wearing the red check, who responded, indicated that he lived in that space, and he said it was as a result of challenges to do with space. So the investigation definitely ought to be conducted so that we would know the true facts of this matter. But Bernard, if you want my honest opinion, I would not be surprised that the headmaster would be right in indicating that management did not convert that space into accommodation. But I wouldn't also be surprised that students would move to dwell in that space, because the numbers that we have in many of the schools, as far as official documentation is concerned, would look as though there is adequate space. But every student coming with their chop box, their trunk, and all of those other accoutrements that we all know. We know of situations that dormitories that are supposed to hold 100 students are being assigned 150 and sometimes more students. And so it is also quite likely that although it is not official, but because the dormitories are crowded, and in these times of the year, particularly for the northern parts of the country, the heat could have caused seniors to hound juniors out, who would then try to find alternative spaces to also dwell in. In fact, I have heard stories of other schools where the seniors would hound the juniors out at night. The juniors would then take their mattresses to go and sleep in the classrooms and then wake up early to come back to the dormitory to prepare. The point I'm trying to make is that the issue of inadequate space is one that cannot be discounted, even as we wait for the investigation.
All right.
The question we should be asking is, what is adequate space? And are the numbers we have?
Yeah, well, I think I get you, and I think the investigation clarified this. But I think the point to remember is the headmaster is insisting that there are 2 houses presently not occupied, so that this particular school has actually more space than it needs, if the headmaster is to be believed. So, at least we can confirm.
The investigation will reveal all of this.
Fair enough.
Because if there are indeed 2 dormitories empty, then that should be established. And then we should know why students would leave dormitories unoccupied. Is it perhaps because they have not been given the green light to occupy them? And as I said, the issue of space and defining what is adequate space is one that I think should also be factored in this conversation.
All right, I think that's fair. The only point I couldn't quite clarify from the headmaster was the open defecation case, because I didn't really get a direct answer on that when I pressed. He says they have 6 toilet facilities, and when he mentioned the numbers, and because I'm not able to you have to see the toilets to know if they are enough. So until a reporter goes there from our side, I am constrained. But this is very serious, and thank you for your interest in the story. I'm sure if the investigation is done and the results are out, you'll be one of the first people to know because of the position you occupy. So
yes,
probably talk to you again.
I will. But Bernard, between you and me, I think the decision to ask the headmaster and the senior headmaster to step aside is a bit rushed. I didn't think that that was the way to go. The initial assessment could have been done by the regional director of education. On the basis of that, then a decision could have been made whether they were culpable in one way or the other to warrant them being asked to step aside.
Okay, I'll take that from you. Thank you. That was Honorable Clement Apaak, MP for Busa South, and a deputy ranking member on the education committee. This just means that the leadership of the committee has 4, 2 on the majority, 2 on the minority. So he's the second on the minority. 5 minutes to 9. Don't forget, later this morning, we'll be talking about malaria. And there are 2 big issues with malaria. We understand a new strain of the malaria-causing mosquito has been uncovered in Gulfers area, and it's causing a lot of problems. So I'm going to deal with that. The area they found the mosquito is not far from where you play football. So we'll deal with that. And then, of course, a new vaccine has been finally designed and developed and approved by the FDA. And in all of these discussions will be had in the context of the World Malaria Day, which is on the 25th of this month. So this is next week, tomorrow week. So tomorrow is Tuesday next week. And the National Malaria Elimination Program is focused on these and other important issues. They want to deliver zero malaria. They say malaria must go. All right, so we'll be talking about that. I am told that we could get the journalist who did the story to speak to. Before I do that, just a few quick announcements, and then we are trying hard to get all the angles to this story because it is a very serious matter which has implications for our students.
Well, yeah, Lashibi Funeral Homes and Crematorium, they're saying that they've been doing this for 21 years to provide the best private end-to-end funeral service for you. Call them on 0509 542409 or send an email info@lashibifuneralhomes.com. Visit their website lashibifuneralhomes.com for more info. Lashibi Funeral Homes and Crematorium, dignity for the deceased, comfort for the bereaved. Juliana June Clothing is the latest clothing brand with quality apparel and styles for both men and women. Learning from successful global luxury brands, we provide our customers with the best in fashion clothing made in Ghana, embracing our culture and tradition. You can call them on 0249 789 789 on Facebook and Instagram at Juliana June GH, or visit their website julianajune.com. You can also find their shop on the English and Manfrom Road after the West Hills Mall. And this ad is sponsored by Vodafone Business Further Together. Now, join our fun-packed and adventure packages as we cruise the ever beautiful waterfalls of Adom, Asinima, and Boti on 20th May 2023 for 600 CDs. There's a 100 CD discount for all old clients and the first 20 persons to register. Join our Dubai, Kenya package from June 23 to 29 for $1,500 double sharing and $1,600 single occupancy respectively. The package includes visa assistance, hotel accommodation, tours, ticket, airport transfers. In addition, get a free Copan travel card, which is the first travel loyalty card in Ghana. And this card offers you discount at partner hotels, restaurants, general merchandise, fashion and beauty outlets, as well as insurance partners. Get in touch with Copan Hospitality or Copan Travel and Tour on 0556 965 924 or 0262 349 886. Copan Hospitality Tourism at its best.
Grab your favorite drink for all your different occasions with Coca-Cola's new 300 ml plastic bottle, now going for 5 cedis. And the 300 ml for Coke Zero and Fanta and Sprite going for just 4 cedis. The 1.5 liter Coke Classic bottle is also 20 cedis. The same size bottle for Sprite, Fanta and Zero is now 18 cedis. Bring the excitement and fun to all your occasions and enjoy the real ice cold refreshment with your friends and family. If your health is important to you, talk to Vigdang Healthcare, a Ghana Health Service certified healthcare center. We specialize in kidney conditions like kidney stones, hepatomegaly, hypertension, fatty liver treatment, and more. We specialize in also using 100% natural medicines for all treatments. Visit Vigdang Healthcare on the Spintex Road behind the Standard Chartered Bank. Call 05499511211. All right, now let me go back to the line and talk to the journalist who dealt with the story. So the the story was broken by Prince Kwame Tamaklo, who is a journalist with Rainbow Radio in Tamale. Prince, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
Great. So we saw the 3 videos, and I personally have not read your write-up on this, but what were you trying to do with this story? How long have you been following the story? And basically, what were you trying to do?
Okay, so Bernard, thank you very much. In January, I started a project on the state of sanitation facilities in some selected senior high schools in the northern region, specifically their toilet facilities in the northern region, where earlier I got reports of infections, especially among female students in some of the senior high schools, and they were attributing that to the bad state of their toilet facilities. So I selected 4 schools: Tamale Senior High School, Ghana Senior High School, Ganasco, Northern School of Business, Nobi School, and then Tamale Technical Institute. I mean, the second cycle school of the Tamale Technical University. So I started that. I actually gathered a lot of information on how bad the situation was. However, when we go to Ghana School, what made it peculiar is that they had a new toilet that wasn't being used. I asked why. They said for the lack of water, they couldn't use that facility. Fine. The only toilet that they were using mostly was one that both the community people in Kuku were using together with the students, which even the headmaster confirmed that. I'll come there. So there was serious open defecation in the school there, a very serious one. So I was like, how will you have toilets and then still be practicing open defecation? There, I visited some of their toilet facilities, especially at the Gabra house. The Gabra house has the downstairs. It has a toilet facility there. That people of years back, if I say years back, I cannot tell because the students we spoke to told me they met it when they came. And these are final year students. So I assume 2 or 3 years back were using. So they came when the facility was not being utilized. Therefore, the place was converted or was turned into a dormitory for students. Not knowing who did the conversion, then they had to speak to the headmaster. I'll come there too. The students, after taking the video or seeing the whole situation, then I asked them, is it a practice of, maybe you just wanted to have to spend a day there or want to spend maybe your night over there just once? And they said, no, they have been sleeping here. For what reason? They mentioned that for lack of space at the dormitories. The videos or the video that came out first showing the toilet that was converted to a sleeping place or a dormitory for the students was just a teaser, or better still, a trailer for the main documentary that will be released tomorrow. So the narration or the genesis of the story was that we are looking at the state of toilet facilities in the school, how adequate they are, and then when we go to Ganasco, they were inadequate. And as much as they were inadequate, they could still turn the facility they have to dormitories. For what reason? Then they told us that for lack of space in the dormitory.
All right. So in terms of the toilets that was not being used, does your full documentary have that? Because you're saying they have toilets that are not being used because of lack of water. And then there's also the issue of a building that was originally supposed to be a toilet that is now being inhabited. And those are two separate buildings, right? So my point is the toilet facility that has been built but does not have water and therefore is not in use, did you go there to verify that in the full report that you are going to air tomorrow?
Yes, please.
Great.
I have, yes.
You have the video. Good. So now let's come to this facility that is in the trailer, which the headmaster says was never a toilet. According to the headmaster, this facility that you went to film has been there since the 60s, and in their time, it was the box room, and it still is a box room, adjacent to the prefect's dormitory downstairs, and is not a place where students sleep. According to him, it's a place where things are kept, and therefore nobody can sleep there. And he actually says you colluded or connived with the student to stage this thing to look like students were sleeping there. But that building that you filmed was just adjacent to the ground floor dormitory of the prefects, which the student in crutches also happens to use because he can't climb up. What is your response to that?
It's unfortunate and it's funny to hear the headmaster say it was staged. If it was staged, then the mattresses I found at the corridor, probably I should arrange one each in the cubicles of the toilet. I mean the channels. Each of them should contain that, beautifully arranged. I went there during the day and then picked these shots. I wouldn't have taken videos of some of the channels or some of the cubicles having mattresses and others not having. Some having chop boxes, some not having. I schooled in the North here. I schooled at Tamale Senior High School. And I know how things are run here, especially within our senior high schools. I suffered similar situation in 2006. And when the documentary is released, you really get a better understanding of it. There was no way I could stage that and ask a person living with disability speak to the issue. I wouldn't stage that and allow a school prefect to, whereas the house prefect, speak to a staged story. What do I stand to gain? The reason for releasing this particular excerpt as the main investigator, as the trailer for the documentary is that last year we gathered reports of about 5 people who died in the Savannah region, or I think Damango, over what we call the CSM. And we know CSM is caused by heat, according to the health people. So what's going to happen is that if I look at this to happen, and out of heat, which we in the North, we are confronted with, students contract CSM and die out of that. As a journalist who has this story or who is aware of this, what have I done to these innocent children? 2, if the toilet was built, whether still using it or they were using it in times past, how was it built? Is it that the manhole is under? If the manhole is under, if there's any day of collapse or crack when the students are sleeping, what will happen? How will I feel that, oh, I saw this and then I never made it happen? I never let the public know about it. So bringing this out, at the end of the day, when they close its usage, perfect. But then I can tell you on authority that if it is a place for keeping stuff as he was, the headmaster is claiming, then what I know is that where we keep our chop boxes, it isn't only one chop box that you find. it isn't only 1 gallon you will find. At least if it's a place that you keep the students, if it's a storeroom, we shouldn't find just one, because it's not just one student or two that are in that particular dormitory. And so if he's calling it a staged story, is that funny?
All right.
Then I went to him to find out if he's aware of the situation. He says to the best of his knowledge, he is not aware of anything like that. Then I even asked him in the video, and then the audio, when I was having the interview with him, in his office, I asked him, should I show you the evidence? Then he said yes. So what he just took over office, he's not even a year in the office. So maybe I could give him the benefit of the doubt when he was responding that way. But for him to actually say that, it's just funny to hear that.
So you are saying that you went to the headmaster's office, you interviewed him on the record, and then you showed him this trailer of the particular space.
I asked if I should show him the evidence. Then he responded yes. However, I did not show it because at that time, yes, part of the video has the students speaking to me, and I couldn't have done that. So if you look at officially what we put out there on our media house, had the faces of the children covered. So I didn't do that because.
So how come this video that we have has the student's face clearly in this trailer?
Okay, so that was what something I can describe as an error of a sort from the editor, who, after we aired the trailer in our news bulletin, asked for the video, and instead of cutting what we aired for the MP, rather gave the raw video to the MP. So I'm very sure that from the MP side that they picked the raw videos from. But what came from our media house? And unfortunately, that particular video was released before my knowledge, because that video was supposed to be part of the main documentary. Where the children were confirming it wasn't part of the trailer. The trailer was just the 29-30 seconds video of the.
All right. So just to give some clarity on everything, in this particular documentary, apart from the student we see and the headmaster that you have spoken to, did you speak to any other person to corroborate the view that there is open defecation, that the students are sleeping in less than standard facilities, and that this situation is occasioned by some level of accommodation crisis? Who else did you speak to?
My target or the story wasn't looking at accommodation. So I didn't, my line of questioning, I wasn't looking at accommodation. I was looking at the toilet facilities. So I spoke with the Tamale Metro, that is the director of hygiene. Then the schools in the Sanarigu, we also spoke to the Sanarigu Municipal Health Hygiene Director. So the various neighborhoods within the greater Tamale area, yes, I spoke with them on the situation.
But in the school, you spoke to only the student and the headmaster?
Yes, Ben.
I see. So now that GS has suspended the headmaster and say they are going to investigate, have you been contacted by the GS to provide any evidence as part of the investigation?
I've not been contacted, but since the trailer was released, I had 2 calls from the headmaster condemning me, saying a whole lot of stuff, and that is part of the work, calling me names and all that. Then after that, it's just the usual threats and all that, I mean, which I'm actually used to. So this is not my first investigation anyway. I released one on Damasco, the state of their dormitory, 3 days to their 70th anniversary. Then the question was, how will you go celebrate your son's birthday, spend 20,000 cedis when you owe school fees of 2,000 cedis? So I released that story. On our sourcing of the TTH lab in 2015, I did that. So this is actually not new. So with the threat and the cause and everything, I know it's part of this job. That is what I've taken to do. So these are the only people who have contacted me, those issuing the threats. The headmaster, who also called me twice on Friday or Thursday when the trailer was released. Then some students too will contact you and then issue threats. But for GES, they haven't contacted me yet.
So just as a point of interest, you were looking at the situation of toilet facilities and the hygiene of students. Did somebody from Ganasco invite you in to do this because of something that was happening, or you just happened to choose one of Ganasco because it's a big school in the north?
So I chose Ganasco because it's a big school in the north. I know they have population, and if there's anything going to happen like that, it could be one of the schools that its students will be suffering this problem. So I went there.
The headmaster also says that they have 2 new houses that are not even being used, and that they have the largest accommodation, largest facilities in the northern region in Ganasco. So he's shocked that students can be made to sleep in such a place when they have 2 uninhabited houses. Did you perchance see those uninhabited houses?
That is untrue. The place where these toilets, the students were sleeping, is 1-story building, where the upstairs is 1 house, the downstairs is 1 house, and the rooms there are 14. That is 7 up, 7 down. So if you have excess, then I want to find out why you decide to combine. Because Tamasco, where I went, if it is Nkrumah house, upstairs, downstairs, Nkrumah house. If it's Hayfront house, upstairs, downstairs, it's Hayfront house. You will see. So if you have that in excess, why didn't they move the students there at the time of carrying? Or why didn't you even mention that when he was interviewed?
All right. Finally, did the students confirm to you that they were doing open defecation?
Yes, please.
And the place where the open defecation is occurring, is it close to their dorm or to the dining hall? Which particular bush is this?
I don't know the distance between Citi FM and Citi TV, but I can tell you that it is less than 50 meters.
Because headmaster said there's no bush near the dining hall.
Okay, so yes, then I didn't hear that word. Not closer to the dining hall.
It's closer to the dorm. Okay.
Yes, dormitory.
Okay, close to the dorm. Fair enough.
Dormitory, yes.
I see. All right.
Interesting. The students usually don't eat at the dormitory, at the dining hall. Most of them decide to carry, or some of them decide to carry their food to the dormitory.
Okay.
One of the days we visited the school, we had students coming from their evening dining, holding their food to the dormitory.
So the point the guy made about eating with flies and scent was eating in the dormitory, not in the dining hall.
Yes, please.
Okay, so that corrects it, because then that was my mistake. I thought I heard him say they were eating in the dining hall. So thank you. So from all indications, you stand by every detail of your story, including the choice of people to interview and the conclusion that students sleep in that makeshift facility, which the headmaster denies. You stand by every bit of the story.
Yes, Bernard, I do.
Wonderful. Thank you for your work, Prince Kwame Tamaklo, reporter, Rainbow Radio in Tamale. 18 minutes past 9. I'll just take closing comments and then I'll move to Malaria. Sky, this is serious. So the headmaster is completely on a different trajectory from the journalist. And then Mr. Apaak as well. Mm-hmm. He's saying he wants to see what the investigation will come to. He's spoken to the headmaster. So, and it's there on the basis of being a parliamentarian of that. So this is going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, because you find that the image of the government is at stake because they are pushing free senior high school, and issues of capacity to actually implement the policy are coming up. And then you have the opposition that is interested in making the point that access has not been. I guess they've increased access, but in terms of the infrastructure to support the question of access, we do not seem to have that. And then also you have a headmaster who has a job to keep because, the GES is trying to sort of throw the rule books at him or perhaps to make some example out of him. So, and then the journalist who has his name and integrity to protect. So if you put all of these together, there's a truth somewhere in there. Now it's about trying to distill what the truth is and bringing that to the attention of Ghanaians. But from what the journalist said, it will seem clearly that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's taking all the right steps. He's ticking all the right boxes. Exactly. And so he appears or he sounds like someone who knows his job, and he's taking, he's paying attention to detail, and he's crossing all the T's and also dotting all the I's. So for me, Bernard, what I would say is that, look, Chichawe Dolobere, no, nyebe daoku, inaba o alodomo lede, oh my God. Then wakamu da down for he. Net to for fogahare, myakboga. If your mommy way a die.
Where you say she's just
she's just asleep.
In the morning when other mothers wake up, you will know if your mother is still asleep.
So it is not a problem. The headmaster says the journalist has misled us, creates the impression that the guy set an agenda. He basically
But as the
staged
headmaster
the whole thing.
admits speaking to this said journalist.
I didn't ask him that in my question. The sequence of my interviews, it also exposes my weakness. I should have probably asked him more questions than I did. But of course, the headmaster said he was on his way somewhere. So
hindsight is 2020.
Yes.
As of the time you spoke to him.
But he said, the funny, the headmaster even said, and which is funny, the headmaster said he doesn't know the guy who did the story, and that he's not a journalist. Initially I asked him whether he knows the guy, and he said he doesn't. But the journalist said he spoke to the headmaster. So I'm a bit surprised at the headmaster's angle now, where he says that he doesn't know the person and doesn't believe the guy to be a journalist. And then so there are. And the other problem I have is that now that this has been put out and the GS has asked the headmaster step aside, so it means that the GS preliminary believes that there's something to be investigated.
Yes.
Which is good. But the way the headmaster is going about this, I worry for the student in the video, because the journalist didn't intend to even show his face, but apparently the MP went to the radio station to now get a version of the story which he got from the editor. So now the student's identity has also been revealed.
You see. So that's one thing. We have those challenges in our newsrooms. There are busybodies who almost always are forwarding things to outsiders without proper authority or proper sanctioning.
Because the MP being mad.
Exactly.
So he sent the thing to him and you do the student.
You see, so the student's identity is revealed because under the law, before you interview a person who is called a child, the parent must be there or someone with guardianship.
And this journalist is aware, which is why he said he sent the blurred image out, but then somebody from his newsroom gave it to the MP, and the MP too said it.
So
in his haste to.
You see, so it creates all.
Charlie will be back.
It creates all kinds of.
When
problems.
we come back,
let's hope that we get to the bottom of it.
When we come back, we're dealing with another interesting story. So, Sky, the three things are happening concurrently. World Malaria Day is next week. There's a new malaria vaccine, and then they've also found some mosquitoes. Where are the mosquitoes? That we have not finished dealing. They found another mosquito. Hey, or is that another something?
Is that Steven something?
Charlie. And the mosquito, they said this one is deadly.
They say it's in tuber.
It's a baby-faced assassin. This matter, we'll deal with it well when we come back. Stay with us.
Ghana is the first country to approve a new malaria vaccine. Scientists who developed the the first country to approve a new malaria vaccine. Scientists who developed also examining it. The R21 vaccine has shown to be up to 80%. Ghana is the first country to approve a new malaria vaccine. Scientists who developed the R21 vaccine are really excited about its potential. The vaccine has gone through final trial and data assessment by the Food and Drugs Authority, and they've decided to use it. The World Health Organization is also examining it. The R21 vaccine has shown to be up to 80% effective in preliminary studies in Burkina Faso. The FDA has approved its use for children aged between 5 months to 3 years old. Other African countries are studying the data, as is the World Health Organization. In a related news, the Ghana Health Service has identified a new breed of mosquitoes known as the Anopheles stephensi that's even deadlier than the Anopheles mosquitoes. This new breed is invasive, spreads quickly, and can adapt to different climate conditions, which is concerning. Ghana Health Service has identified its presence in Tuba and Dansoman and has urged residents to take measures to protect themselves. Like and share this video. Subscribe to CitiTube on YouTube for more.
Specializing in sachet, bottled and dispenser mounted jar and customized water for parties and other social events. Call 0202-055-703 or visit any of our sales outlets for bulk purchase for standard water.
Now, for the jazz lovers, Alliance Française is partnering with Société Générale to bring you the Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival. It's happening between April 24 and April 29. Learn the art of music making with the master of the game, Victor Day Jr. on April 27. There are also concerts on 28th and 29th. You've got Pamela Bajogo from Gabon. You've got the Victor Day Quartet. You've got Chale from Benin and Kwame Eboa and the Kwame Band from Ghana. Tickets are going for 50 CDs a day and 30 CDs for students. Follow AF_Accra on all socials for updates and workshop registration. The Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival is powered by Alliance Française.
But if I talk something...
Now, Creamy Plus evaporated milk takes you back to the original creamy taste of evaporated milk. It's a great complement to your tea, coffee, gari, soakings, mashke, and all your cereals. Get your day started with the creamy experience of Creamy Plus in your tea or coffee. Douse your hunger by introducing Creamy Plus into your gari, soakings, or mashke. You can get Creamy Plus to buy at all Go shops, Bachona, Total, and other supermarkets in your neighborhood. For bulk purchase, call Less Farm Distributors. They are Medina Rates Junction on 0501 682522 or Grace as Founders at Akoko Photo in Dansuman on 0245 162747.
All right, so World Malaria Day is celebrated every year. This year is on Tuesday, the 25th of April, and they are talking about delivering zero malaria. Now, the reason we are interested, I'm not saying it's not something we should be interested in. Malaria is a big thing, and it kills a lot of people. But I think the news about World Malaria Day has been made much more prominent by two big announcements. Now, the first one is that the FDA has approved the R21 malaria vaccine, which many say or many consider to be a world changer. Now, that story says the Food and Drugs Authority has given market authorization to a new malaria vaccine, R21, developed by Oxford University and manufactured by Serum Institute of India. The FDA says after a thorough evaluation of the quality, efficacy, and safety of the vaccine, they realized that the benefits far outweigh the risks. So that's point one. A note of background, there is already a malaria vaccine in use, and it is called the RTSS, right? And this is given 6, 7, 9, and 24 months for the child, and so from 6 months, and then the next month, and all of that. So it's a malaria vaccine which was developed, I think, in 2019. All right. So now we don't know how long, whether this is working, but clearly there's a lot of excitement about the Oxford vaccine, which the FDA has said they've given approval for. And Caleb, if you can call the FDA for me, I'll be happy to speak to them as well. Now, so that's one point. Then the other point, which sort of makes the whole thing a bit more interesting, is now we are being told there's a new, I don't know what to call it, malaria strain. Is that the word? Or new mosquito. A new mosquito that has entered the system that is causing a new type of, I won't really say a new type of malaria, but essentially a strain of the disease that is deadlier, right? I'm trying to get the details of that story, but that story was reported again last week. The coincidence is quite interesting that just the week that the new vaccine, we are told, has been approved by FDA, we are told that, by the way, there's a new new mosquito that is going to cause more damage. So let's talk to Dr. Naya Opipra, Acting Program Manager, National Malaria Elimination Program, Ghana Health Service. Doc, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Bernard. Good morning to your listeners.
Great. So I need to agree, sort of put this out, that there's obviously a tension between what the focus of the malaria elimination program is in terms of what you want to do next week and what interests people like me in the media, in the sense that you see, you have your program you want to do next week and you want to tell the world about how to deliver zero malaria and all of those things. But one of the reasons why I've invited you to come in is because of the two big stories, right? So let's start with the new mosquito. I mean, how is that? Like, how do you have a new mosquito? Is it God who's creating a new one, or somebody who's creating? I mean, do you know what do you know about that story? That is a new mosquito in the system.
Thank you very much, Bernard. So I think mosquitoes, we have different types of mosquitoes, but the ones that are of public health importance are the Aedes, the Anopheles mosquito, and the Culeus mosquito. But in malaria, our focus is on Anopheles because that is the one that transmits the parasite Plasmodium that causes malaria. And for every country, you need to put surveillance on the types you have. So in Ghana, over the years, we have had the Anopheles gambiae, Anopheles finistus, Anopheles milas, and Arabiensis. And we know the behavior of these mosquitoes. I mean, some of them bite indoors, they rest indoors. They bite, some Arabiensis, for instance, bites outdoors and rest outdoors and prefers biting more animals than human. So we always try to understand the behavior of the mosquitoes we have. In 2019, we had an alert from WHO that we have this species, Anopheles stephensi, which usually was in the Asian countries, but now it looks like it was invading Africa. The reason why it was interesting was because the ones we have in our country, they more or less breed in relatively clean waters. So like the limited way of breeding, and so you can really contain them quite easier. But this stephensi species basically is very dynamic, adapts easily, able to breed in both clean and dirty waters. That makes it a very deadly one in the sense that it can easily increase in population. And whenever the population of mosquito increases, your chances of worsening the malaria situation also increases. And that is why this has become a big news, because we have a new species which is not like the one we are used to, which has also resistant issues to some of the chemicals we use in the fight against malaria. And I mean, basically, that is why it has become a big issue.
Again, the numbers. So the GHS released a statement last week that confirmed that there was a new vector, this Anopheles stephensis, that you call it, stephensi, and that they had been found at places such as Tuba
Yeah.
and Dansoman. How did they leave Asia and get to Tuba? Like, I mean, where did they come from? Like, how did they get here?
So I mean, basically, we know that mosquitoes fly. They can fly distances. We know that they've been found in the Horn of Africa. They've been moving over the years. I think Nigeria even reported it in 2020. Recently, Kenya has also reported it. So it's just really moving all around the place. Until you put surveillance on something, you may not identify it, even though it exists. And because we have a number of sentinel sites across the country where we collect data every year to look at the types of mosquitoes we have, the ones that are of concern to malaria, that is how come we're able to pick it up.
So, for the National Malaria Control Program, did you know about this before it was announced? Because I heard this last week, that there's a new guy called Stephensis in the system. Is this new to you in the program as well?
Yes. So for us, we work with partners, right? We have about 30 sentinel sites, but we also have partners who are working in other sites. And through our malaria vector control working group meetings, the partners will have to present their data, tell us what they are also finding at various sites. And through those meetings, we realize that some of the sites have Stevenson species.
I see. So is this on your agenda? Because one of my challenges is that your Malaria Day program that we are doing next week seems to be focused on your strategy already. That look, malaria is day, and we are going to reduce. What's the word you even use? The time to deliver zero malaria. Invest, innovate, and implement. And I don't even see any reference to this defenses guy in your synopsis. I find that a bit curious because if you're talking about World Malaria Day next week, big event, and there's a new vector that has been discovered in Tuba, it should be the focus. But you don't seem that concerned.
We are very concerned, and as I mentioned earlier on, I mean, it has the ability to really worsen our gains, and so we are really concerned about it. If you look at the approach to containing Stevenson, it's similar to what we've been doing. You know, you basically have to reduce the breeding size. So definitely we have to be working with assemblies to ensure that we reduce the breeding size. We have to be doing larval source management, applying larvicides, which we're already doing. All we have to do is to enhance some of these activities and get the communities to get ready to ensure that we are all part of this fight. And if you go through some of our activities, you realize that these are things we've been doing already. What we have to do now is to ensure that people get to know, community engagement, people are involved, and then we can really contain Stevenson. So yes, it's a big news, but we are doing a lot already to contain it.
Your confidence appears to come from the fact that malaria is declining. And here are some quick facts for the public. So outpatient malaria cases decreased from 6.1 million in 2019 to 5.2 million in 2022. Malaria admission reduced from 393,000 to 391, so maybe roughly 2,000. But in 2021, and then increased in 2022. So it came down and went up a bit. Proportion of OPD cases attributed to malaria or suspected malaria also reduced from 42.8% to 40.6%, and further down to 21%. And 19% in 2022. We don't know whether COVID has anything to do with this. So, on the surface, it seems as if the battle against malaria is being won. Based on these numbers, is this correct?
Yeah, that's very correct.
Now, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have the confidence that we have the opportunity to deliver zero malaria.
Despite the fact that there's a new mosquito.
Yes. And of course, if you look at the opportunities available, and the challenge of Stevenson, all you have to do is to look at what are the containment measures. We have it. We do it already. What we have to do now, get the communities involved, get all the stakeholders involved. And we always say that this fight cannot be won only by the Ministry of Health. All the agencies, other ministries that are involved will have to come on board and ensure that we win this fight.
Fair enough. Now, let's come to something else that I thought should have headlined your celebration, which also did not. So you didn't talk about Stevenson because your strategy seems to be working, even though this is a more serious strain. Then we were told again last week that there is a new game-changing vaccine that has been developed by Oxford. The FDA, Food and Drugs Authority, gave a press briefing where Madam Delise Mimedaku said that they have approved the vaccines used in children between ages 5 months to 3 years. All right. Now, before we get to this, under 5 malaria is a very big component of malaria. My primary challenge as a journalist covering malaria has been the lack of progress on vaccines for decades. Because malaria kills the most people in SSA. And somehow we found vaccines for all kinds of things. But yet we've not been able to find a vaccine for malaria in decades. So when the 2019 vaccine was introduced, I was very supportive and I was very excited. What are your thoughts about that as a public health practitioner working in the malaria fight? And that it took us so many decades to eventually even get any type of vaccine at all for malaria.
I think, you are right. If you look at something that is killing children, killing a lot of people, you really need to put in much effort to ensure that you get a vaccine as early as possible. Over 30 years, and then you get RTSS, the efficacy around 30-40%. We were also excited at that time because we know that the vaccine is not going to be used alone. We had other interventions. And so if vaccine is being complemented with net use, indoor residual spraying, larvicidin, and other chemopreventions, we know that then we are also winning the fight. So as much as it looks like we are being late in getting the right vaccine for malaria, I think that what we had then was good. We are also hearing this good news about the R21 vaccine, with a very high efficacy. I think that it's early days yet because the clinical phase 3 trial, I think, is still ongoing. Data, I'm told, will be published this year. But I think the clinical phase 2 trial looked good. That is why a lot of excitement is on this vaccine. If you're going to get a vaccine with this level of efficacy, if you're going to add net use, larvicidin, on all the other malaria interventions to it, I think that then the fight is already won.
You are suggesting that there are multiple tools in fighting malaria, of which vaccine is one. So in the pot of tools available to you, which has been most effective, or what are your thoughts working in malaria over this number of decades? Can you give me an order of ranking of the importance of the interventions in malaria?
We don't usually do that. We see them to be working together.
Okay.
Right. So if you look at the progress we have made, we have done that with nets. These are treated nets, plus indoor residual spraying in some selected areas in the country. We have also done that with seasonal malaria chemoprevention, which is done in the northern part of the country because they qualify for it. We also done other interventions like intermittent preventive treatment in pregnancy. And we see that is a cumulative effect of all this intervention. You don't usually isolate one and say that this is doing far better than this. In areas where there are, for instance, behavioral issues with the use of nets, you have to go in for the other intervention. So at a program level, what we do is to stratify the country, looking at the burden levels per district, looking at the behavior of net use, urban, rural, and then put in adequate and targeted intervention. And that is what we have been doing over the years.
The interventions seem to be a mix of preventive, i.e., you don't want the person to get the virus, to management, which is broadly between treatment and also suppression. Should our focus not be prevention in its entirety? Because there's a history of malaria for, since prior to independence. So why should 2023 our interventions be a combination of treatment, management, prevention? We should be clear that we don't even want people to get the malaria. But some of your interventions include managing the disease and all those things. Why is that part of your tools?
Bernard, I think it's a process. So as you try to get to the point where you have interrupted transmission and no one is getting malaria, until then, you still have to put in measures to treat. because there's still that likelihood that people will get. So we still have preventive interventions. But then in the event that you get the parasite and have signs and symptoms of malaria, we should make anti-malarials available for you to treat. I mean, that is why we have the preventive and have the treatment as well.
Yeah, but Doc, I feel like malaria has been with us for so long that we've had disease. For example, polio. Polio has been with us, but for many years, we've not even had any case of polio until recently. We've been able to reduce cholera in some years to nothing. So there are public health diseases that, and these are infectious, that we've been able to bring to the barest minimum after probably 3 decades of. So it seems to me as if the malaria one, we are not very interested in eliminating it. We are more interested in money because there's a big business there. Like, National Malaria Strategic Plan, $420 million funding gap, WHO, 10 billion. So it's like, because all the money and all the things, like, malaria is business. So because I don't understand why you can eliminate polio, you can eliminate childhood killer diseases with the national vaccination program, where even illiterate women born in the remotest villages have the sense to send their children for vaccination because they understand that they have to vaccinate their child against childhood killer diseases, right? One of the most fantastic public health campaigns in anywhere in the world. Then you have malaria. Then for some reason, malaria there is not going. Malaria this. Like why? I suspect that you guys are making money from the thing. So you are not. The thing should be there. So,
outrageous.
No, I'm very honest. Like, so why is malaria still there?
The key in what you discussed right now is vaccination.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, and you have alluded to the fact that we had RTSS. It's taken us like 30 years already to get RTSS. And the efficacy of RTSS, was around 30-40%. Compared to the measles and the polio vaccinations, that was far below what you'd be expecting. And that is why people are excited about the R21 vaccine. So one of the game changer in the childhood disease elimination thing you just discussed is vaccination. So if you get malaria vaccines and you are still seeing this, then you can make that allegation. But until then, I'm sorry.
But I feel like...
I don't think you can conclude that it's about money.
Okay, you don't work for the FDA and Oxford, so you can't really comment about... But why is the RTSS just 30% effective even? That in itself is a problem, right? Because if all these years in developing a vaccine, is it that malaria is such a difficult condition that getting the right vaccine is going to be much more difficult?
It's a parasite. The genetics of the parasite is a bit tricky. So they target one aspect of it and then it changes. So, that's why it's taking some time now. So it really is a genetics of the parasite and not business.
But is the malaria control program incorporating this news that we heard from Oxford into your strategy for the year? That because of this vaccine, which we are told, and in fact, let me read the BBC's angle to this story, because I just want people to know this is not just a Ghana FDA story. So the BBC says, Ghana is the first country to approve a new malaria vaccine that has been described as a world changer by the scientists who developed it. The vaccine, called R21, appears to be hugely effective, in stark contrast to previous ventures in the same field. Ghana's Drug Regulatory Agency, or drug regulators, have assessed the final trial date on the vaccine's safety and effectiveness, which is not yet public, and have decided to use it. The WHO is also considering approving the vaccine. Then they give some details. So this is high level. So FDA, WHO is considering, right? Again, forgive me for my prejudice, but I feel like the malaria control program doesn't sound as excited about this as other people are. Maybe it's just the way I see things as a skeptical journalist.
So I hope that I could change that this morning. But I think we are excited about vaccines because we believe that they are very important in this fight. So if you look at our strategic plan, it is clearly stated that vaccines are part of the interventions we are using. And in fact, we are using it in the high burden areas because we believe that they can really bring the burden down. Whether it is RTSS or R21, it all depends on the approval processes. For us at the program level, of course, we are not even directly in charge of vaccine. It's the EPI, but we work closely with them. as at when it is available to be used, we are going to use it. So we are really excited about it. But as I said earlier on, I think it's early days yet. We have to wait for the phase 3 clinical trials. We have to wait for the approval of WHO, because that is when donors come in to say, okay, you have WHO approval. We are going to support you to get this and get this done in this district and that district.
The other point is skeptics sent to me that the announcement of the new R21 that people are very excited about, and the announcement that there is a new strain of mosquito, the coincidence is too uncanny that this may be an attempt to, create a problem to solve it. But there's a new mosquito, there's a new mosquito in the system. Charlie, we are dead. So we'll send our children to them. So it's like they are creating demand because there's a lot of vaccine skepticism post-COVID, and therefore the coincidence of the two stories is raising eyebrows.
I mean, it's difficult, but I think that it wasn't a deliberate attempt to bring these two together. It just happened that we had identified a strain of mosquito that we think we can even contain, even though we know it can only be done when all stakeholders come on board. Issue about vaccine, this R21 vaccine is about 30 years ago. They started working on this about 30 years ago. So really, it's not like it's a new thing that has just come and we are trying to put this together with the mosquito new species. So there's no evil thoughts with this.
Well, let's come to what you're doing. So you are doing World Malaria Day. So what?
Yeah. So the agenda really is that we think it is time to deliver malaria-free Ghana. And what we can do to achieve that is, one, to invest, be more innovative, and then implement the interventions we have available. If we say we want to invest, we know that over the years, the progress we have made have been achieved through, I guess, using about 50% of what we need. If we really have to achieve elimination, we need more. So we need to get all stakeholders on board. We need to get companies investing in malaria and ensure that we have all that we need to eliminate malaria. Being innovative is basically looking at, for instance, we have stratified the country. We know where the burden is high. We know which area needs what. If you look at the Malaria Indicator Survey 2019 data, it clearly stated that in the western border, we had very high malaria prevalence. And based on that, when we're distributing nets in 2020, for instance, we deliberately took new nets in those regions. And if you look at the new study, 2022 DHS, there's a decrease in the burden in the western part. So there's a deliberate attempt through stratification and targeting of interventions. And these are innovative ways of getting things done to achieve elimination. And we need to do more of that. As part of the program processes of getting to elimination, we are bringing in interventions like MDA, mass drug administration, especially in areas with very low transmission. We'll also be having interventions like what we call intermittent preventive treatment among school children. Okay. So, and these are interventions that we'll also be considering in our next phase of the elimination agenda. So quite some new things will be coming up. Hopefully, as we put all these interventions together, we should be able to achieve.
Yeah. Before the final question about the details on the event itself, where are we winning and where are we losing in terms of geographical areas and then in terms of types of malaria? So under 5 and malaria and pregnant women, that kind of thing. So in those two broad areas, where are we winning? Where are we losing?
So I think if you look at the recent survey that has come in, I think OT region is the highest, and then Upper West, right? So OT and Upper West have not really seen a decrease, whilst almost all the regions have seen a decrease. Ghana has seen a decrease, as in the whole country, from 14.1 in 2019 to 8.6 in 2022.
Wow.
But as I said earlier on, OT and Upper West seems to have high prevalence.
But in terms of the categories of malaria, where are we doing well? So there's under 5 malaria, there's malaria among pregnant women and that kind of thing. What are your quick comments on those?
Yeah, so I think under 5 we still have a challenge. Most of the cases are still among children under 5. Pregnant women, I think we have made tremendous progress because of the IPTP thing. We give them a medicine when they are 16 weeks pregnant, and then they
intermittent preventive treatment in pregnancy.
They repeat it every month till delivery, and that has really helped. They also sleep under the net, so
it helps.
Yes, that really helps.
Wonderful. So this event is on 25th. Where is it happening, and what else do we need to know about it?
International Conference Center.
Okay, and so many people will be there.
Yes.
Who is our guest of honor?
Big, including yourself.
Oh, I'm not a big man yet. So it's a big event on 25th.
So hopefully we are having, we believe that we could have the of course our minister will be there, Director General, and then we're going to have
do you need any donors? Some of the donors locally.
Yes.
WHO.
Yes, they are all going to be present.
Wow.
And hopefully we're going to have the chief of staff.
Wow. So you are bringing a lot of political support to this.
Because we need that. To eliminate malaria, we really need.
When are you eliminating malaria? Is it by end of this year, or when is your target? When you say
elimination.
So when you say zero malaria.
We are looking at 10 years.
Hey!
Yeah.
Are you 10 years? If God
I thought you were going to say it's realistic.
It's too long. It should be 2 years.
Hey, Bernard.
Look at what you did to COVID. When COVID came, we all ran and followed it. So malaria, 10 years. By that time, how old are you, Seth? Anyway, we'll leave it here. Thank you, Dr. Nana Yaopipra, Acting Program Manager, National Malaria Elimination Program. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Unleashing the power of relevant radio. This is Citi 97.3.
#CitiCBS. The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Yeah. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You're talking I do. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm riding my rhymes on the biggest pad. My people be watching, they think it's mad. I'm laughing and grinning because I just roll up and pick up the money in the biggest bag. In 2020 we'll be rolling hard. That be why the bang be going hard. You think that we slow when you see what we doing? We give you the music, we're going far. We're heading for the top now, never gonna stop now, never gonna flop now. Keep it going, and we're never gonna drop now. So you better stop now, never gonna stop now. We be going. You people thinking we joking and really funny. Look at the ratings and checking your silly money. We taking everything you're putting on the table, leaving you disabled. You only got a silly dummies. They call me the chief. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Big boy never sleep. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Put the rap on fleek. Oh yeah, oh yeah. With a 363. Oh yeah, oh yeah. They call me the chief. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Big boy never sleep. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Put a rap on fleek. Oh yeah, oh yeah. With a 363.
With a 363.
Everything I know this.
You know the 363? Yeah, I know the 363. Yeah, I love that. Love that. So you release Banga Chero.
Yeah.
You know, is it because I've given you additional responsibilities? It's like
not necessarily.
Your creative juices have gone.
Oh.
Charlie, because by now you release something against the Easter, against the, Charlie, for drop something.
Charlie, doing music requires a lot of.
Do Mami Momo Part 2. With your Accra friend. Ni come. Yeah. You big man, Charlie.
Don't worry, you
release something, Charlie, because Charlie, you're a rapper.
I know the music to be money. It be money issue.
I hear you. 363. Now that's all we have time for. I was here with Nathan Kwao, Richard Sky, Godfred Akoto Boafo. City News at 10 is next, and then Rita Anom Bassey. I thought her name was Rita.
No, she's Chantel. If she's Rita, I didn't know.
Rita is inside.
Yeah, Rita
is inside.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Me, my sister is Rita, so me that's the name that I stuck in my mind. So Rita Chantel Anombase is going to Anombaselize you with some great music. But Kalekuda is here with the news at 10. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. Coming up, and